me, Sean Capri, and welcome to We the GamerCast. It publishes every single Monday at youtube.com/carpoolgaming and podcast services around the entire planet Earth. Oh my gosh, everybody, everywhere you get internet, you could probably download this. Thank you guys so much for being here, for listening, for hitting the like button on the YouTube thing, and for telling your mom, for telling your dad, for telling your friends, for telling your kids. Well, maybe don't tell your kids. Maybe just keep this one to yourself. Goodness gracious. I'm so glad you guys are here. Great episode coming right at you with my good friend Kevin Ainsworth from Project xTalk. But if I'm getting a little ahead of myself, because guys, if you're new, here's the deal. Every week I get to have sweet hangs with a stranger or a longtime friend from the internet. And if you want to be on the show, it's pretty easy. Just tweet at me at Sean Capri. Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. I've got my coffee here. I'm treating myself. I'm doing the double fisting, you guys. I've got the Diet Coke and the coffee. Most of them are done. I had a good session of playing some tennis and some badminton and some bowling with my kids with Nintendo, or better known as Wii Sports for the Switch. And life is good. I'm feeling pretty great. I hope you guys are amazing. There's lots to talk about, but we've got a really good kind of, is this quintessential We the GamerCast, this episode? I think it might be, you guys. We actually talk about video games, and like, it's a good balance. A good balance, man. We kind of go places here. And with that in mind, I have to apologize. Maybe a little bit. Do I have to apologize? Maybe I'll leave the apology to the end. You guys will see what I'm going to apologize afterwards. But, man, there's so much going on here. I'm getting pumped up about the Backtrackers, our video game book club that you guys should join. It's free to join in the Discord. There's a channel all for it because everybody's playing Bugsnax right now and going to be meeting up on May 21st at 11 a.m. So you guys don't want to miss that. Of course, Bugsnax just released on everything. It's on Game Pass. It was on PlayStation Plus back when that was a thing. Gosh, that was a damn year and a half ago. Goodness gracious. Holy crap. I have a collection, actually it's behind me here for everybody watching on the video. I've got a collection of wristbands that I got from the gym this week. I went 5 days this week. I feel awesome. And we're just getting started, you guys. I've got the whole routine worked out. I believe in myself that I can wake up at an early hour, getting to the gym. And one of the coolest things is there's a bunch of you who are reaching out. You're also getting to the gym, and there's a whole Let's Get Fit channel in the Discord as well. We're encouraging one another. We're messaging each other early in the morning. So we're holding each other accountable. And my goodness gracious, just watch the transformation. It's going to happen. And whether or not there's a transformation, who cares? Because it feels awesome to be there. And I get to go to the hot tub first thing in the morning. Life is good, man. Holy cow. There's so much good stuff to talk about as well. The other thing that's going to happen, and June is going to be nuts. We're already halfway through May, and June is shaping up to be a bit of a banger, Mr. Badbit. It's going to be pretty crazy. I will be going to Toronto on June 11th and 12th, and going to be watching the Xbox plus Bethesda E3 thing. We're going to be at FanFest that weekend. So on Sunday, we're going to be watching the thing, but I land at 2:40 p.m. in the Toronto area on the Saturday. So if you guys are around, hit me up. We should have some sweet hangs in person, real life IRL sweet hangs, because it's going to be great. We're going to find a place to play games and hang out that night. And then who knows what can happen. I'm going to be talking about this for the next couple of weeks so that we can all make plans. Speaking of plans, you should plan on joining us at youtube.com/carpoolgaming. On May 23rd, we're going to have a whole bunch of content. I had a list here of what the heck that content was going to be, but I can't find it. Oh, no, I had it right here. I had it all ready. Where the heck this Discord is too much. Okay, we're going to do the Geek Outs. We're going to do the whole, because you guys pushed us at patreon.com/carpoolgaming. We're going to do a Scott Pilgrim kind of a book, like a comic book club kind of deal. Me and Ryan, about an hour and a half of that. We'll do an Xbox Drive E3 predictions episode. We're going to do a Game of the Year watch episode, thanks to you guys pushing us to Patreon. We're going to do a PlayStation Drive with E3 predictions and console wars that day as well. youtube.com/carpoolgaming. Start time still in flux, but early in the morning. It's probably 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, which is 7 o'clock for me. And you know what? We're just going to go for it. We feel like you guys like this YouTube business, and we're going to keep doing it. Damn it. Goodness gracious. But man, you guys are just crushing it at Patreon and making us feel like anything is possible. But speaking of Patreon, I want to thank the nearly 90 patrons. We dropped down a little bit, but that's okay. We're nearly 90 patrons over there, crushing the goals. And I want to say a special thank you to our ultimate producers, Tony Baker from Quest for Pixels. And I would love it if you guys help them out at youtube.com/quest4pixels, Dallas Ford, Emily O'Kelly, Trucker Sloth, Johnathan Brown, of course, the man behind the music on the Xbox Drive and the Nintendo Drive. You should download his album In My Element on Spotify and Apple Music. Drew Agnew, the handsome host of the House of Mario podcast. Lee Navarro, the fearless leader of the Phoenix Overdrive Extra Life team. Skinny Matt, who is hosting Carpool Gaming Community Nights. So follow him at twitch.tv/SkinnyMatt. And of course, all the links for all of our ultimate producers are in the show notes. They support us to a tremendous degree. Please support them like they support us, because beautiful things happen. Our platinum producers, Brendan Myers, Dano, Marcus McCracken, Mostly Martinez, Becky Rubin Navarro, Bobby Miller, and RJ Kern. And our gold members, Anna, Argo, Ashley Nicholson, Cecily Carrozza, Dallas Robbins, Foolish Fuji, Jose Jimenez, Mac Time, Marcus O'Neill, Nagachaka, The Snack Network, Tom Danks, and Mr. and Mrs. Nasty Boots. And a special thank you to a secret new person who's joined the Patreon. You guys will actually find out by the end of the episode what happened, because I may or may not have had my email notifications on while talking to Kevin. Oh my goodness gracious. I think that's it. I think that's all I wanted to talk to you guys about. Backtrackers is happening. You guys should be there. Went to the gym. That's all happening. The Xbox showcase, and goodness gracious, we're going to have lots to talk about on the Xbox Drive this week. What a mess in Xbox land. We're going to have tons. Oh, quick shout out to the Nintendo Drive. We're going to do our E3 predictions and quotes for E3, of course. Like, E3 obviously isn't happening, but you can't stop us. We're going to be doing predictions. Justin Masson came on last year and crushed it with me and Kato. So guess what? We're doing it again, lunchtime. We're not going to do an early morning on Tuesday of this week. So stop by the YouTube channel. Everything's in the Discord. 12 o'clock. What is it? 12 o'clock Mountain Time. We'll be live. 1 o'clock Kato time. 2 o'clock Ryan Turfer time. So that's it. I think that's all I wanted to tell you, other than to say that Kevin Ainsworth is my guest. He's the host of Project xTalk. You probably have seen him around the Discord and on the Twitter. He is the Muffin Mon with a 1 instead of an I and an O instead of an A. And goodness gracious, Kevin, like, what have we talked? We didn't even get a chance to talk about that, but we talked about a gazillion other things. I will give maybe a trigger warning. There's a section that we get pretty heavy into mental health. We do talk about suicide. So I just want to give you the heads up if that's something that you might want to skip past or just maybe not be in for at all. But I just wanted to give you a heads up, because we go all over the place. We talk about some of our favorite games, and we talk about dealing with some heavy stuff. So I hope you enjoy. That's why I love doing the show, because you never know what's going to happen. I wasn't sure where we were going to go, but Kevin is a good friend. I happened to be on Project xTalk last week, so if you missed it, go check it out. So why don't we get right on into it? Here is my good friend and yours, Kevin Ainsworth.
I always wondered like how long other people spend like doing their podcast stuff, because I'm like, just for one show I do like hours of work. Like,
really?
Yeah, it's like I have to look up all the stories and like,
oh yeah.
I don't know. Do you guys like how many notes do you guys take during your like shows? Like, how is the Xbox Drive document like huge, or is it like three lines?
No, this is well, again, neither. It's not nothing, but it's not like pages long. But I think like one of the big things was like we just wanted to we want to keep the show not too long. So that kind of like has over time. I mean, we've been doing it for a long time. For a while there, we would just like load it up with like story after story after story, and then we try to race through it all, and it never really felt, or I don't think it sounded very good. So at a certain point, Ryan and I have kind of just like, okay, that's enough. Like, you see it on the page, and you're like, well, we're not going to get to anything more. So, and then Kato and I are just like realizing like we're not Nintendo analysts at all. And not that took long to realize, but we're just like, we'll do a story and then we'll just chat basically.
Yeah, no, it's so interesting because like when we started, I would have like everyone send me stories for the week so I can write up like the notes and like what we're gonna talk about, and we'd have shows with like 8-10 stories, and they were all like half the time they were like little things. I'm like, do we really need to talk about this?
Right.
Like, is this something that people actually care to hear about? So like,
Yeah.
we had a meeting a few months ago and I was like, we're cutting down the number. So we're going to do the big topics, like 4 topics a show at like most. That's all.
Yeah. Because what did we do? Like three stories? What was it last week?
Yeah. I think it was 3. I think we had 3 this week too. So it's like, but they're like meatier stories. I'd rather have like a big discussion about actual news stories instead of like the UI got an update. Did you guys know it's in 4K now? Like, who cares? Like,
I like it. But you're right. Like, what are you gonna actually say about it? And I think that comes with just like the time of doing whatever show you're doing. If you're creating content, I think that's great because everybody will find something different, right? And even just like I said with the Xbox Drive and Play, I'm doing it with different people. Those 2 shows, the Nintendo Drive and Xbox Drive. So even just right there, it's like it's you don't have to follow any rules. That's the best part about all this stuff. You get to like make it up. It doesn't matter. You know, once you realize you're doing it for, you know, I guess you're kind of doing it for yourself, really. But I feel like you're way ahead on that because like I feel like that took me a really long time to come to that confidence and security in myself that I'm just gonna do whatever show feels good for me, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we've had shows. I think our longest is like 3 hours, not counting like a live react to the Game Awards, which I was like the most miserable 4 hours of my life.
Really?
It was like last year where it was just ad after ad, and I'm like, why are we live reacting this? Just people looking at me like not wanting to be here right now.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, we've had shows like 3 hours, 2 hours, and then like that was when we had too many topics or we were just like trying to make length just for length's sake. Yeah. And I'm just like, now if we get to an hour, I'm like, great, that was a great show. We had a great discussion. That's all I'm looking for. I don't care if it's an hour. I don't care if it's an hour and a half.
Yeah. I think especially on the Xbox Drive is one where for the most part, I think we wrap, and we've just kind of gotten into a rhythm now where even if we have too many stories, we kind of get a sense of where we're at in the show. And at a certain point, we start to like close things up. But there is every once in a while where either I or Ryan wants to kind of like hang on something for a little longer than usual. And it doesn't happen all the time, but every once in a while, it's like, oh, this would be nice to just expand and explore a little bit. But we're basically like, we are, what is it? We mostly have hard outs because just of the way that like the timing of when we actually schedule these things. And the history of that is even when I was actually doing it in the car in the original days, it was me going to work. So I had to actually go into work and start my day. And then over the years, then I had kids and I had to be like, then we were recording it on my way home and I had to be a dad and be home when I was here. And now we record at lunchtime. So again, it's kind of just like the constraints are there just for the balance of the rest of life. And so a lot of people ask me like how I do it all. Like that's at the crux of it. Like that's really at the core of it is setting those limits.
Yeah, it's so, well, first of all, whenever I watch the show, I never feel like you guys hang on something too long. Like I'm always like, that's not noticeable to me. So if you're doing that, it's not noticeable to the audience.
I just mean that for most of the time, we kind of have almost like an internal clock where we go, we're good. We've said enough. And then every once in a while, like it'll something will spark and it's usually like my ADHD brain or just like, oh, I also have like this thing to say. Oh, this reminds me like something else, like almost completely unrelated, but I'll somehow make the connection. And you can always tell like Ryan will be like ready to move on as he should. And that's what I've specifically like asked him to focus on. Like I said, like I used to drive the car. He would drive the show. And I would specifically say, like, you need to make sure that, like, we're ending on time kind of thing. Because that was because of everything I just said. So, yeah. Every now and then I'll stress him out, I think. Because I'm like, I want to talk about this other thing. And we need to move on.
Yeah, I remember the Nintendo Drive. I think it might have been this week where you were like, I got 1 minute till I have a meeting. And Kato's like,
I literally do.
We got to get through. I'm like, okay, so he does do these, like, in between actual like work and life and like living. And it's like unlike me where I'm like 5 p.m. show up or like you're not on the show this week.
Well, that's the danger of this show is now we're starting Friday evening. It's like I got no obligations really. So it's when do we need to go to bed? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of and I feel like this is the right show for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I personally love the longer like discussions you've been having, especially lately. Some of these discussions you've been getting into have been very deep and emotional and like hitting hard. And I'm just sitting here, I'm like, I gotta listen to this in like increments for my own well-being.
Right. Yeah, it can be. This show is like, because there's really no prep, right? So there's that part. But yeah, sometimes it can be that's the trade-off. Sometimes it can be a little heavier sometimes. And every now and once in a while, I'll be like, what are your 5 favorite games of all time kind of thing? Like I haven't had one of those conversations in a little bit. So I'm curious because I feel like we've known each other for a little while now. And I feel like I can ask you something like we've scheduled this for a couple weeks now. What are you thinking like before you come onto a show like this? Like, where's your mindset at? We go super meta here.
No. So the first time I was on, I was like, what are we actually going to talk about? Like what? Because like,
send me the topics.
Well, yeah. Because every other show is like, here's the topic list. I'm like,
man.
great. That's like, this is the first one where it's kind of just unscheduled chat, like a no hold bar. You talk whatever you want to talk. So this time, like today, I was just like, I'm just gonna go hang out with Sean. Like, we're just gonna go chat. Like, whatever comes up, comes up. Like, it's not a super like stressful thing. So,
well, good.
Yeah, I mean, but top 5 games though. You got Mass Effect 2 in there, right?
Of course, obviously. Yeah, man.
Yeah. I remember going on Iron Lords, and that's.
Are you saying me or you? Like, are you guessing my favorite top 5?
Yeah,
I
was asking. Yeah, you got it in there, right? Like,
I've got it in there, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm like, are you on the Mass Effect 1 or Mass Effect 2 train? Because I know that's a big contention.
Yeah, this is what nerds fight about. Like, forget whatever else is happening in government and politics and whatever else. It's like, are you Mass Effect 1 or are you Mass Effect 2? Are you, dude? This is what I want to be doing with this next Patreon goal thing. I want to have these battles, The Last of Us Part 1 versus The Last of Us Part 2, Mass Effect 1 versus 2. I want to do Forbidden West, like Horizon Forbidden West versus Outriders. I want to do this one, man. Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. And as I've said, I'm Team Outriders.
Yes. Yes, dude.
I'm not a Horizon guy.
Or just Xbox, what can you say?
No, if you love it, you love it. But like I played the first one and I was like, I didn't really like this game. It's not for me.
Yeah, man.
But Outriders, my character got deleted for 2 weeks.
Son of a gun, really.
And I'm still like, this game's great. Like I just made a new character. I was like, I gotta keep playing. I gotta get that loot.
Yeah, honestly, and I'm kind of in this, I don't know, I tend to do this at about this time of year. It's right after, well, in this case, maybe a few months after the big holiday rush. I feel like we got like a second kind of boost. And then I just go like nuts to that. I can't play whatever's new, so Rise of the Tomb Raider is where I'm at. And I mean, it's in this mode where I could literally go to something like Outriders, which came out, I think, about this time last year. And I would just play that again, man, or whatever the DLC's coming out this summer. Like, that sounds awesome to me, dude. Sounds great.
There's a big lull in games right now for me personally. Like, everyone else is talking about like, oh, there's so many.
You play everything.
Listen, I keep track of all the games I play on my phone every year.
How do you keep track? What do you use?
Literally just I just have a notes section, and I literally just list out. I am on my 44th game this year.
This year it is May 13th as we record this. You got 44 games, like completed?
So I'm working on not all of these completed. I dropped off a few of these. So like
41.
Yeah, it's probably closer to 40-ish completed. Yeah.
Wow.
Last year was, I got a list. It was 77.
You are way ahead.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna beat my pace last year for these games.
And like, you're not beating like Telltale games or things like that. It's not like what, My Friend Mayo or whatever. What was the one?
Oh yeah, My Friend Mayo.
Yeah, like you're beating like meaty games. Like you finished Triangle Strategy and a bunch of all these other like. Oh my gosh, man, you're a beast.
Yeah, I'm doing that Ayuden Chronicle game right now.
Are you really?
Yeah. I'm like 9 hours in or something. Got
Yeah.
106 stamps or whatever, and I'm just like 50 more to go.
Oh my gosh. I love hearing you and Ryan and Garrett. I love that we have I love that we have a show called the RPG Cave. Like, I just love that there's like a dedicated show and community building around like role playing games. Like, I remember when Ryan came to me with that idea, it's like, it's so good because number one, it's not like Ryan's chasing anything. Like, it's not like I see an opportunity, so let's go after that. It's like, that's just in Ryan's heart. Like, it's just that's just so him. And so I love that for him, first of all. And then obviously Garrett, so that's perfect for them to pair up. And then you guys I don't even know what the hell you're talking about half the time. Like, I can't keep like, you guys, how many like big RPGs do you think you carve out in a year?
I don't know, like probably 10 maybe. Probably 10. I've done
in a year.
Yeah, I know. I think the biggest one I've done this year was Monarch, which I know Ryan and them played over on the RPG Cave.
Yeah, they didn't like it.
They didn't like it, but I loved it, and I platinumed it after 65 hours. So I think that's the longest game I've played this year.
Yeah. So like walk me through like your week. Like, how are you crushing through all this stuff? Because it's not like you do other things. Like people ask me, like I'm asking you, how do you balance it all, dude?
It's easy for what I don't have kids. That
sure,
right? I've accepted that if I ever have children, like my game time, my completion rate is probably going to take a hit. Like, that's what's going to happen. But right now, I have a 5-minute commute to work.
Okay,
so
that helps.
I always live within 15 minutes of where I work at every job. I've always done that. So I have a very short commute.
Do you move? Like, is that the case?
Yeah, I move.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, if you're just renting, you're in an apartment or whatever, condo or something.
Yeah. So I literally moved down here last year when I got my new job, 5 minutes away. I wake up at 5:30 a.m. I go to the gym. I'm in there till about 7:30. Come home, eat breakfast, shower. Then I got like an hour to relax. So like I'll either watch Halo. Unfortunately, I don't know why I'm suffering through that.
I just heard this week's episode, man. I just don't know if I can sign up for this.
I'll get back to my schedule, but I tweeted during the first 20 minutes. I'm like, what am I watching? Why am I doing this? So
and Cortana's watching?
It was super awkward, man.
What the heck, man? I just don't know about this.
I don't know who greenlit that, but so I'll hang out for an hour. I'll go to work at 9, and then I have a job where I work 37 and a half hours a week.
Yep.
A full-time salary. So I can come home at 4:30, and then I have literally 4:30 until 11, 10:30 whenever I decide to go to bed to do whatever I want, which usually involves soccer, because I do play soccer, and then I'll play games, make content for the channel, but that's really where I fit it all in, because the weekends right now are reserved for girlfriend time. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday is not like I don't get gaming done really on the weekends, which is like the opposite of most people. I think that's kind of like their prime time.
That's their gaming time. Yeah. I feel the same way actually, where my weekend time, not a whole lot of gaming on the weekends. But like, I think part of it that and that's pretty standard kind of schedule. But like part of the thing that impresses me though is kind of like a stamina with the games. Because it's like, if you have the time, that's one thing. But being able to like stay focused and not, I don't know, go on your phone. Like, there's so many distractions. There's so many other things that we could be doing with our time. But it's like, I don't know, like you seem to have like a gravity towards the games that, you're not, the focus I think is really the piece that kind of is amazing to me.
I think I kind of just like, I don't know, I gave up watching TV really. Like that isn't something like a medium for me. I'll watch the Marvel shows because I'm big into the MCU and all that. But other than that, like I don't really care what like the latest Netflix show that's blowing up is. I'd rather get my storytelling through video games. So I'm always just like, what's the next game I can play? What's the next story I can experience in here as opposed to sitting on my couch?
What about budget? How do you budget this stuff?
Well, Game Pass helps a lot.
For sure, yeah.
But, I mean, I don't have like I'm not super wealthy, but like compared to where I was last year. So like before last April, I was making like 39,000 a year at a crappy job. I was stuck there for like 6 years.
Yeah.
And now I am lucky enough to work in a position that has given me some disposable income, like increased my salary enough. So I don't really worry about that anymore. I do. I'm not over here like I'm gonna drop $60 here and $60 here.
Just
like
careless. Yeah, let me buy it as expensive as you can, and get me the stupid edition while you're at it.
Yeah, no, I don't. That's not me. I'm Game Pass. I'm PS Plus games. Gonna play things that are on sale, like that Chorus game. I'm sitting here. I'm like, do I want to play this because it's
good
on
game.
sale for $20? Is it a good game? I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it. Yeah.
So that's I mean, I just.
What was your last job? What was the what were you doing for 6 years?
I worked in a hospital. We worked in what was called the patient experience department. I don't know if Canadian hospitals have such a department.
What does that mean? We might, but what is
essentially
what is that
it's
about?
Complaints. So when people are unhappy with the level of care that family members are getting or they're getting, they would call me and yell at me about it.
Oh, wow. You did that for 6 years?
Yeah. And so like I have a master's degree in psychology, and I worked in a psych ward for a year. Yeah. And I was like, I was working overnights. It was awful. Like it was not productive for my like health and well-being, mental health and physical, because psych patients tend to get violent. So like my first day I got elbowed in the nose.
Get out.
Like, yeah. So like, and people like threaten to kill you, and it gets like wild in mental health units. So I transitioned to like a better paying, less like dangerous job during the day, but it was still taking complaints. And that wears on you after a while, like going in 8 hours a day. Yeah, 8 hours a day for 6 years, and just hearing people call you and complain. And were some of their complaints valid? Yes. Yeah. But a lot of them weren't. A lot of them were just like their perception, which I will say the one thing I've taken out of that job is that you should try to put yourself like, what are they looking at right now? Like, what is their view? Because they're looking at it this way, even though reality might be different. Yeah. They don't know that. So you have to try to meet them somewhere in the middle. And I've kind of tried to take that everywhere into life. And I credit that to, I had a wonderful boss. We're still in touch. He's a great guy. But yeah, it weighed on me. So I left that, and now I'm in a much better job where people don't call and threaten to blow up the hospital if I tell them they're not getting their medication.
That actually happened?
Yes.
Somebody threatened to blow up the hospital.
Yeah. We've had,
I mean, whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's like for things I've heard working at the hospital, and we're not like a giant hospital. We were like a small community hospital. Yeah. So it was just one of those things like people called you and said outrageous stuff when they were angry. Like they're not. Oh my God. They're not thinking like, hey, this is a threat. Like this is going to get me in trouble. They're just thinking like, I'm angry. I want something, or you like my loved one isn't getting the care I think they deserve. So I'm going to threaten people.
That's actually too much to like. And like, were you like, even in the moment, were you as like kind of cavalier and carefree about it then as you are now, or have you just had time to like separate yourself from that? Because that sounds like a huge deal, and you're like, I mean, whatever, they were just gonna maybe blow something up, but they probably weren't. No, they definitely weren't. But like in the moment, it's kind of a scary thing when someone like says like, oh, I'm going to shoot up the hospital or something like that. Like you tell security, they get the police involved. Like they'll go do their legal checks that they have to do because people have made that. But it's in the moment, it is scary. Like, you're like, what if they actually do this? Like you have no real protection. Like it's a hospital. People are coming and going all the time. I don't know who's on the other end of this line. Yeah. It was a scary thing. But like looking back now, I can like kind of laugh about it. Like people are like really silly. Yeah, well, I mean, we had when I went before times, before COVID, I would work actually at the hospital that I fundraise for, and we were kind of like in the middle, like it was like the inner city of the hospital itself, like just, and we saw some of the most eclectic kind of people. And one time a guy wanders on in, and he's kind of acting a little bit weird, and you tell like he's kind of on something. He's a bit affected. And I can't remember exactly how it came up, but at one point, we're just trying to, like, we're hitting the secret alarm button to get the people to come help us, like, get security and everything to come, because there's something up with this guy, making everybody feel super uncomfortable. And at some point, we're just trying to get him distracted and get him out of the way. And I think I said something to him like, "Oh, it's a pretty nice day outside. Like, we should, let's go hang out outside." And he goes, "Yeah, it is a good day to die." And I'm like, is this it? Is this how it goes down? Is like, I remember thinking like this guy literally he seemed like the type. And so very, very shortly, the security and cops come on in and they talk to him. They take care of the situation. Nothing ever ended up happening. But we came to learn that, like, yeah, dude was on a list and absolutely was armed in our office with it. Like, it really could have been pretty bad. And I don't know. It was, I feel like even as I retell the story, probably should have been more shaken up than I really was. And I don't know. I guess I really wasn't, but I've definitely heard stories of people getting assaulted or whatever. Like you mentioned, you got elbowed in the nose, and that that can ruin you. That's like a really traumatic experience, you know? Yeah. So yeah. Did it just never like weigh on you? Like the danger that you were in, maybe?
Well, I wouldn't say the danger probably didn't weigh on me. There were days where I think I only ever blew up on someone once, and it was like I don't remember the exact situation, but like it took, like, I could take a lot of abuse at this job. Like I had heard I had been conditioned, like I dealt with mental health patients. Like, you can say whatever you want to me, and like I was getting through it, and I was trying to be nice and like cordial and like help you. Yeah, that's what I'm there for. But like there was one person I blew up on so much that like my boss came in, like, transfer them to me. We're gonna end the phone call. Like, go take a walk, calm down. Like, it was just one of those things. Like, I don't think the danger ever really set in, but there were certainly things that like, oh man, I don't know how much more of this I can take, because when I was going to school, I was like, I don't want to be a counselor. I don't want to I don't want to have to listen to people's problems all day. And then that's what I did for 6 years anyway.
No kid. Exactly. You're like actually trying to train yourself to avoid a certain situation. You end up, well, it's kind of like if you're in a car and they say like, look where you want to go, not where you actually are looking like you're about to crash into. So if you're just focused on the fact that you don't want to do that, suddenly you're just on that path to crash into it, unfortunately. Oh my gosh, man. So like, are you just more naturally like that, like well prepared and well suited to deal with those sorts of situations? Or was there training that you were able to go through, or like, where does that come from? I feel like you're just kind of a naturally level headed kind of person anyways.
Yeah, I'm pretty calm. I don't tend to like get mad. Like, I'm definitely not, like, I don't rage at video games, which is a complete. So I have a twin brother, and I'm the complete opposite of him when it comes to video. Like, he will get infuriated at video games, and I've literally seen him. He was winning a FIFA game and threw his controller at the wall and told me. And when I asked him why he's winning, he says, "It's not about winning; it's about sending a message."
Oh, and damn!
I go. That doesn't make any sense. You're online.
That's wild. And so, like, identical twin?
Yeah, I have an identical twin.
So, okay, so you guys must be like, I don't know. There's like studies that are done on this sort of thing all the time. Like, do you wonder how that happened? Like, how is he so different on that? Is that the most like dramatic difference between you two?
Probably the way we handle situations is probably the most dramatic. Like, and he might listen to this, so I don't want to like start psychoanalyzing him.
Tell me the worst things about your twin brother.
Yeah. No, but like he knows he can get a little angry at video games, like a little too much. But like I'm not that way at all. Like I'll be like, that was frustrating. I'm gonna just do it again. Like it'll be.
But aren't you supposed to be the same? Like how is this? And I'm hyperbolizing how ignorant I'm coming at this. But like but aren't was he raised like half of his life in a zoo somewhere else? Like was he raised by huskies somewhere? Like where does the difference come from? How does that happen?
It has to be biological because we were together literally all our entire lives. Like we grew up we shared a room for the majority of our for 18 years on this planet. Like we literally played games next to each other, all the same systems all our lives, went to same places, had similar friends. Like I don't know. I don't understand the difference. So I don't think it has to be a biological nature versus nurture. Nature's winning in this one.
But that's what I'm wondering. I don't think that's the case. Like, because biologically you're the same, but obviously different in this case. So maybe you like caught your bus one day and he missed his bus and that just set him, like maybe he had just I don't know. I'm being super ignorant about this sort of thing, but kind of purposeful a little bit. But I think it's fascinating just that there can be like biological identical people, but very different when it comes to these kind of things. And like, is it, what experiences impact us is ultimately what I'm trying to get at here, is like what has happened to us along the way. Speaking of Horizon Forbidden West, like do you have a Roth or whatever his name was, or do you get raised somewhere else completely? And with the beta character on that, not to get too spoilery, but I think like twins and cloning and everything like that. I think it's super fascinating how people end up turning out. Does he look like you now? Does he carry himself like you? Like his hair the same?
So mine goes to the side, his goes back.
Is he like the evil twin? He just parts it the other way and he grew a goatee. Like, is that what we're dealing with here?
He does have a beard. Like he's had a beard. Yep. He's had a beard since like we were teenagers.
He's the evil one.
And I had one till last week. If you go watch the show, like when you were on my show last week, I had a beard, and then I was like, I'm gonna get rid of this. Like, and he was like, good, we can't both have beards. But no, we have a sister too, and she is completely different than
older or younger. Who's
younger?
Okay,
so I'm the oldest by 3 minutes.
Yeah,
take that. He's the middle child,
nice,
and then
that's what he's angry about. There's the difference right there.
he likes to say he kicked me out of the womb.
That's amazing. I would say the same thing. Yes.
Yeah. No, but yeah, we have a younger sister who is completely different than us in every way. Like her beliefs, what she does, like how she handled like school and education and could not have been more different. But we were all raised by my great grandma, so like I don't know where like the disconnect.
Your great grandma.
Yes. So
I don't think we got into this last time, by the way.
We didn't.
I think you hinted at it at the end. I'm like, we're gonna have to chat about this.
So I have never met my mom. She gave birth to us and then was going to put us up for adoption. And I think we originally meant to go to someone in Texas before my great grandma stepped in and was like, I'm going to raise them.
Wow.
And then somewhere along the way, my dad and my mom had my sister, and she just dropped my sister off with my great grandma as well. Like, hey, you're already raising these. Why not? Like,
come on.
So yeah, my mom wasn't the best individual. A lot of substance abuse issues from what I've been told, and obviously abandoning children. But my great grandma, who is like in her 90s now, so she was raising us even when she was like, I'm almost 30, so when she was in her 60s.
Sure.
We didn't have much money growing up. I think we were living on like less than $20K for like 5 people in the household.
Yeah, holy cow.
Just trying to get like everything, but she did her best. And I don't think like I realized that until like you were older. I don't think like because kids don't really know, like they don't know the value of money. They don't I want this. I want like, give me this, grandma. Like that's kind of how children are, right? Like, you have kids, like they just ask for stuff. They don't really consider like, where's it coming from? How are you getting these things?
Oh, I ask my kids all the time if they're gonna pay, all the time. Yeah, and they're like, I don't have any money. It's like, yeah, neither do I. So
yeah, so she raised us.
But as you were growing up, like, did you recognize, like, you must have bumped into other kids and went like, well, you're not raised by your great grandma. Like, money is one side, but like, did you realize that, like, the growing up, that the dynamic of being raised by your, not even just your grandma, like your great grandma, like, so like, obviously people in the, like, there's a lineage almost of people having kids pretty young. If there's only 60 years between you and your great grandmother. Yeah.
She was like, she was born, I think, at the start of the Great Depression.
Yeah.
So like, which is crazy to think about. Like, when you read about the Great Depression, you're like, that's so long ago. But she was born literally, I think, a year before it started or so. And then she got married very young. That was back in the day. Like, you married your high school sweetheart like 18, and then you just had kids. Yep. So she had my grandpa like very young, and then he had my dad very young. So like, I think my dad was 17, 18 when he had me. So it is that cycle of like, they just kept having kids very young. But
and here you are in your 30s, no kids or anything. You're breaking the cycle.
Breaking the cycle. Well,
Maybe forever.
My sister has a kid. My sister
okay,
did.
There it is.
So the cycle kind of continued with my niece.
Really?
Yeah. How old was my sister? I think my sister's 28 and my niece is 6. So like 22, I think she had my niece.
That's different. Yeah, it's still like
young.
Especially that was 10 years before I had I was 32 when Lincoln was born. And I still say to this day I couldn't have had a kid a day before. Like, that was like the absolute earliest in my life I could handle that situation.
I couldn't imagine having a kid right now at 29. Like, the thought terrifies me. And it's like, my girlfriend who's 23, she is very much like, she wants kids by 30. And I'm like, well, how about you like live your life first, and then like, we'll see how you feel in a few years. But like, when you have all these bills, and like, when you actually have to plan for things, you know, kids cost a lot of money. I don't think people really realize that.
I know, right? Well, it's good to have. I mean, women have to be on a completely different timeline, and I will say, like, basically from like 28, 29 for me to 32, like, gigantic change. Like, that was, I don't know, it's almost like adolescence in a way of just like, there's another phase of like transformation. And for me, like, it was happening about that time where I started going, okay, what does it actually mean? Because I'd been in relationships before, but like, I hadn't really considered like, what does it actually mean to like to form a partnership and a team like that. It was totally different from relationship, like what Chelsea and I have now, and what we were forming when we had met when I think I was 27, maybe 26, but I think I was 27 when we met. So yeah, like, even just like how we budget our money and how we like decide to come together in our house and all that kind of stuff. Like, I wasn't thinking about any of that stuff with anybody else. And I think that was maybe one of the signs for me that was like, okay, this is probably the one. Like, I wasn't even entertaining the fact of this. I was pretty, I don't know, dickish about it. Like, if I'm being completely honest, just like, it was it felt like that's the transformative part of it for me. I feel like when I remember those days, it seems like I would be describing a different person.
I feel you, because in my early 20s, I think until like maybe 25, I was like on dating apps and like just, you know, living it up as you do as a young 20-year-old, not really like considering like people's feelings and all this other stuff. Like, I was never mean to anyone, but like, you didn't really, you know, you weren't like, oh, this is the person I'm going to end up with. Like, because you're like, I'm 24.
I'll call you later. I'm playing Skyrim.
Yeah, you're like, I'm 24. Like, it's fine. Like, who cares right now?
Yeah, pretty carefree is probably like you're just not like looking for anything really serious.
Yeah, and it's like, well, it's also like my high school girlfriend, we dated for like 4 years. Yeah, which was like, then that's the only real relationship you had. So like, when you get into your 20s and then you're single and you're like, oh, there's a whole world of people out there. Like, are you telling me there's more than one human being? It was just like, open it up. So
yeah. Did you have a big high school? Were you at a small? No,
we're a very small. My graduating class had 97 kids.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I think there's like 1,000 total, and like, we have one building, elementary, middle school, and high school.
Oh, everybody.
They're all in one building.
1,000 is not small, but yeah, for everybody, that's... Yeah. So, I mean, now we're kind of like going back in time a little bit. Like, what was that like? Because I definitely took huge advantage of leaving everybody from what we call junior high. A lot of people would say middle school, like going from grade 9 to grade 10. It was a different building, different side of the city. Like I kind of got a fresh start, which I really took advantage of. But you wouldn't have had that experience. You're same people every year, stuck with the same people, and they're just getting bigger and worse. Or
same people every year from kindergarten till you graduate,
and then you end up dating them. Most people probably get married. That's probably why.
So there's definitely like I grew up in a very small town, and I don't live there anymore. But I maintain if you don't leave your like small country town, you eventually just marry whoever else didn't leave. Because I'll see people on Facebook and I'll be like, why are you two dating? Like, this is like, because I'm still in the high school. I haven't seen them since high school. Yeah. And in high school, this would have been very weird to see because it's like that the age difference or something like some weird thing. And that would have mattered more in high school. But now they're like in their 20s. And I'm like, you've just ran out of people to date in the town because you've never left. And there's only options. There's only a few people.
Yeah. That's a real thing, isn't it? Like, you're just, what else are you going to do? And especially, I feel like that's true in small towns, whether you're talking about like relationships or even just like how you spend a Friday night. Like you're staring down the face of like no options. So you can kind of do something that maybe you otherwise wouldn't do. At what point did you realize that you needed to get out? Like, did you feel a need, or was it just like, were there friends that also were doing, like, how did that idea come to for you?
I left almost immediately. Like, I went to college right out of high school. You couldn't wait
to get out?
Yeah, I couldn't wait to leave. Like,
how come?
Where I grew up was very had a different different mindset to what I consider like inclusive and like respectful of other human beings. Like, not everyone. There were some great people I grew up with, but like the general stigma around it is like it's a classic country town, and like you kind of know what like there's more cows than people, but like the people that are there kind of awesome. Like you know why people aren't coming here, there's because
more cows than people. Sure.
It's true though, but like no, I went to college up near Canada, up near Montreal actually, and graduated there, and then I moved back in while I was working and getting my master's degree. So I did that. I lived at home until I got my master's degree, and then I got a new job. And as soon as I got this other job, I immediately was like, I'm gone. Like I make enough money to live on my own now. Like,
what about your brother and sister? What were they doing? I mean, your sister's quite a bit younger, but you're obviously your twins the same age. Like, what was he doing?
He took some time off after high school before he went into college.
Okay.
He wasn't sure like what he wanted to do, and he didn't want to like obviously go into a bunch of debt.
But did he want to leave? Like, did he have the same kind of like, get me out of here? Yeah,
sure. Probably more than me, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Probably more. Like, but he took some time, and then when he finally did come to college, he just knew it. He figured out what he wanted to do, and then he actually lived up in where we went to college. He got an apartment, like did his master's up there. So like he never even came back like home. Once he left, he was gone.
Yeah.
But my sister has stayed. I think she still lives with my great grandma. So she's still kind of like there. She doesn't have a partner to really support her. Nothing like
your great grandma is now raising another like basically like what, and great grandchild is where she's at. What do you think of that?
I feel bad that she has to like I understand she was a nurse for like I don't know 50 years or whatever. So it's always been like it's always been in her nature to just take care of people, which you can tell like even when she got mad at people, it was always just like it's because she cared about like who were they hurting, like something like that. So I think she obviously loves my niece. My niece is wonderful. She's a little fun little girl, but she is, had been there. She's been there now 6, almost 7 years. And she basically has raised her since she was a newborn. Which obviously my sister raised her too. Like it's there, but my sister goes to work because 95-year-old can't work. So like my sister has to go off and work and
that is like you mentioned before, she's in her 90s, and I kind of just like breeze past. I'm just like, let's just picture what a 95-year-old woman, like, how is her mobility? How is her health? Like, how is she doing? She's got to keep up with a ton of energy in the house, right? Like, what does it mean to be raising this kid as a 95-year-old?
Yeah, so unfortunately, her health hasn't been the best in the last few years because of the pandemic, and she did get COVID unvaccinated, and she actually she got through it, thankfully, but she's having some issues with her mobility, like you were saying, like because at that point you're 95, like you've got a lot of wear and tear on your bones, like anyone is going to be struggling. So I mean,
dude, I talk to people on a weekly basis who are telling me that they're feeling old these days. Like, okay, let's talk about this 95-year-old great-great-grandmother who's raised literally generations of children over the last almost 100 years.
It's true, though, because she didn't only just raise me, my brother, and my sister. She raised my dad, my uncle, and my aunt.
That's what I'm saying, man.
And then she raised her 3 children, too. So and then now 10 children at least this woman has raised. Yeah, which is insane.
Do you ever like reflect on like, is this the most like you've really talked? She's so central to your life, and she's what an extraordinary life she's lived as well. Like, do you ever get a chance to think about this or talk about it with any of your family or anything?
Not, I wouldn't say with my family. I'm not overly close with most of my family. It is really just my brother, and this grandma, and it was another grandma who unfortunately passed away in January.
Yeah, just this January, like 3-4 months ago. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah. No, it's she had developed dementia at the start of the pandemic, so it was one of those things where like I hadn't seen her in 2 years, and even if I had, she wouldn't have known who I was.
Yeah. No, so that was my grandma. Same thing. That's why I'm just like, my genetic wise, like I'm totally screwed. I'm just trying to like live every day at this point, because it's like either cancer or something, or dementia or Alzheimer's is coming after me. There's fortunately no escaping it, I don't think.
Yeah, her mom had dementia as well, and that's what took her, and then her. So like if my dad gets it, then I'm gonna start like worrying. Like clearly, it's in that line over there, so they're doing some
cool work on it though, man. Like there's some that's something that I think that they're working on that, which is nice.
Yeah, it was
this life that she's lived, and like and how like what she means to you too. Like I don't know if you've ever really reflected on this, but like your life could have been different in a gazillion different ways. It could have gone like, there's so many different decisions that have been made that you weren't even a part of, that you ended up in this person's care. And I don't know, like, I don't want to get too like over, I don't know, or maybe even religious about it, but like, that's her role on this earth. Like she was here to guide and parent and ensure safety and shelter and love for generations of kids. Like that to me is beyond remarkable. Like I'm just kind of struck by this right now. You've been living it your whole life. So I don't know if it's just like I said, I don't know if you ever had a chance to reflect on that ever.
No, I mean, like I said, I think it's something that, like, as I've gotten older, I've kind of like realized, like, wow, that's like crazy. Because like, if you ask me, hey, there's 3 kids to take care of, like, and they're gonna go to you, I'd be like, I can't do that. Like, I have no idea what I would do. Like, help me. And she just, no hesitation, took us. Yeah, and it could have, like you said, life could have been completely different. I could have been separated from my brother. Right. Like I would have never known I had a twin, or like, it would have been crazy.
Dude, like, is she, like, it sounds like she's still kind of pretty with it, obviously, like helping out with your sister and your niece. Do you want to ask her about that sort of stuff? Like, do you like, I feel like I actually sat down even before podcasting. I actually sat down with my grandma, but it was too late. She was already kind of gone. Like, I don't even think she understood that I was recording her, but I have a couple hours of me sitting down and talking. Oddly enough, like it was like I did that, and then years later I would end up doing this. But I do have some time like talking to my grandma, and it's like I've never actually done anything with it. I want to I was going to say dig it up, which now that she's passed, it doesn't seem like the right way to say it. I want to go back to the footage is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I just feel like this life that she's lived is so remarkable. Like, how is her mind? Like, would you be able to have a conversation about her life?
Oh yeah. She's mostly with it. Like she doesn't have like dementia or anything. Like she might be forgetful, like, but that's just it comes with age. Like everyone, I forget things all the time.
Dude,
so like it's still
Same.
So, but like she still knows like all the important people, like major world events, like everything, even personal events that happen to her. And whenever she calls me, she still thinks I know what's going on in like where we grew up. And she'll be like, well, this person, I was like, I don't know who that is, Grandma. I haven't lived there in like 8 years. Like, but thank you for telling me. If I ever come back, I'll be sure to not go where they're building a Walmart. Like, thank you. I
can only imagine the conversations you must have with her. I wanted to ask too, though, and not to put like, now that I'm done like putting all the pressure, like have a conversation with your great grandma. That's remarkable. You and your brother both went after your masters. You said, where does that initiative come from? Like, why the focus on education?
School has always come easy to me. I was one of those people that like, I didn't study for tests. I just would get A's. It's not really something like I didn't have to worry about that. Like,
because what was your first RPG? I think like this is a precursor. When I'm talking to smart people, they played like Pokemon or whatever. They grew up. I
did play Pokemon. I think Pokemon was my first Game Boy game.
Yeah.
And actually, the first time I played Pokemon, I didn't like it because I didn't know how to save. So every time I turned it off and turned it back on, I was like, why do I have to choose Squirtle every single time?
That's
and then my brother's like, you have to save it. And I was like, oh, like, but I'm like a 5-year-old who first Game Boy ever. And this was on Christmas. So Pokemon.
Yeah, so early like learning systems and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, anytime anybody looks at my kids playing video games, I'm like, I have hundreds of hours of talking to people, and it's obviously, well, I don't know, maybe it is statistically significant. Like it's a pretty good sample of people who I've talked to who've gone on to have their masters, or Garrett Bland with his PhD and all these other things, and like they grew up playing Pokemon, dude.
The only reason I didn't go for my PhD, because I thought about it over the last few years when I was stuck in that dead end job, I was like, should I just get my PhD? And the only reason I didn't was like, I don't want to take on any more debt. Like I'm already struggling to pay what I have now. Like I have to see what I can do with this master's. But to your point about video games, I think video games are one of the reasons like I did so well in school, because especially RPGs, like it teaches you puzzle solving.
Yes.
It teaches you vocabulary words that you are not going to be exposed to just in school. Like
that
there
is
are
for sure.
so many and you're just reading the dialogue or like choosing options and like how to speak to people. And I'm just like, I'm very much a proponent. Like if I have children, I'll be like, what do you want to play? Like we're gonna get something going here.
Well, and it's funny because I'm thinking like already in my head, Pokemon is so popular. Obviously, what is the most like profitable franchise on the planet. So the obvious counter argument to this is like, every kid played Pokemon and not every kid went on to do whatever. But so that's the obvious part. But it does seem like anybody who was growing up with kind of a tendency to play a bunch of RPGs, like my neighbors who I talk about a lot, they had the Final Fantasy games and they had everything, but it was really that systems based exposure that they had at a young age that like when I played games, it was like Street Fighter, and it was all or Mortal Kombat, and it was all the things that parents would yell about, and they probably were right to some degree, but there's just so much to it. And I don't know, if you're exposed to other things, then I'm all for it. And my kids kind of self-regulate at this point. Like they wouldn't spend 10 hours at a time on a thing. Like they'll get bored and they'll go do something else, and that might speak to another fault of attention span, but that's whatever. At least they'll want to get up and go outside kind of on their own.
That's interesting, because I don't know what you were like as a child, but me and my brother would literally play for hours and hours at a time.
Yeah, like because we didn't have one. Like if we ever got in the vicinity of a Nintendo, it was like, yeah, we're soaking this up as much as we can. It's kind of like if it's taboo, I want to do it even more. Right. So like we weren't allowed to have it. So I wanted it. That made me want it even more. And so, or my neighbors had it. They had every game that you could possibly imagine, and they were fine. Like they would want to go outside. And I never understood it. Like, why would you ever want to go outside if you have this thing? And it's just a different environment, I guess.
I think, and I talked about my history with gaming when I was on Iron Lord's podcast. But like, I think it's great that no one in my life, no adult ever was like, you can't play video games. Like that's not so, you can't do that. They were, if anything, they were encouraging, because my grandma, who passed away, like she introduced my brother and I to games. She was like, hey, I have an NES laying around, you want to like play it? So that's how we like learned Mario. And then like we got the SNES, and then she got us an N64 and a game. Like she got us so many pivotal consoles in our childhood. It was never like, I can't do this, or like, you don't need this. It was, she was taking bottles back to the little things in the supermarket to try to like save up more money to buy us games.
Yeah. That's an interesting. So first of all, how was she like so in touch with all this stuff? Like, who has an NES just laying around? I remember there's a kid in school. He was this pervert. Like, he's just constantly lying. Would tell us he had stuff that he absolutely didn't have.
Every high school had one.
Right? Yeah, totally. There's always a kid who's just like, "What are you making this stuff up for?" Like, we can tell. But yeah, like, what kind of grandma has an NES laying around that she just like?
It had to have been my dad's. It had to have been my dad's at some point. But
okay.
He didn't really take an interest to video games. He loved Tetris and Pac-Man.
Yeah.
I remember he was insanely good at Tetris. And it was like crazy. I don't know why he was so good at Tetris, but he was. But that was like really the extent of what he did. So I think she must have got it for him at some point, and then he had no interest. So like it was just laying around for us to experience. And when we took the interest and like really dove in, because then we were watching like G4 and literally just trying like,
oh nice, going
on the computer, because at where I lived, we didn't have a computer until I was like 15.
Yeah.
So like when we went to our grandma's house, she had a computer. That was where we could look up all the like information, like, oh, Mega Man, like what's his backstory, like who are all these characters, and like learn all the lore of the worlds that we were playing. So I think like we just got really interested in that, and she was more than happy to see us like, I don't know, just taking an interest, I think. So she wanted to support that. So
hang on, so you're playing NES, like Mega Man and these kind of games in the internet era? Like, is that kind of where you're at? Okay. So like, is that is it fair to say that you like there were other systems that were available at that point? Like you're on the internet, other kids are maybe playing something else, maybe PlayStation or something like that, and you're playing NES. Is that kind of where? Like, I'm just kind of thinking of the timeline.
It has to, because I was born in '93. So like if I wasn't playing these until it was like '98, which by that point like you were getting like we're close to the N64 and that kind of. So like I think it was more, we got so invested in the NES and the SNES that like eventually she was like, I'm going to get you an N64. And we got like Pokemon Stadium and all these awesome games.
You got a nice like compressed timeline there. Yes, you kind of went from one to the next. Yeah, that's kind of neat. Nice.
And then we went GameCube, which I know you didn't play it, but I maintain is the best Nintendo console.
Okay, again, how old were you when GameCube came into your life? Because this is my ongoing theory.
I was 8.
You were 12. You were 8. Oh, snap. Okay, so you're way younger than my... Okay.
When did GameCube was 2000? 2001? Was it 2001?
2001, something like that.
Yeah, so I was 8. Yeah.
Okay, that shatters my my hypothesis here that some of our favorite, whatever it is, our favorite gaming memories happen when we're somewhere between like 12 and 14. And that has held true like pretty often. I don't know if there's like, was there a game that came out 4 years afterwards? I talk to me. When did Smash come out for GameCube?
Smash I played Smash on the N64 and loved it then.
Damn it.
Yeah.
My whole theory.
Me and my brother loved Smash Brothers on the N64.
Yeah.
And then we didn't get a GameCube on launch. We got it for Christmas one year, but our neighbor had one. And so we'd been introduced to Melee, and I was like, we got to get this. We got like, it's just what we need. So we got the GameCube, we played Melee. And then we eventually were introduced to the Xbox through my next door neighbor. He brought over this giant black box that I had no idea. I was like, what is this? Like, there's a PS2 in the other room, but like, what is this giant box? Like, he was like, oh, so it's a Xbox, and like you got the weird control, like that giant controller with buttons everywhere. And then we played Halo, and I was like, this is amazing. Like, this is, and I played Halo 2 before I played Halo. So like we were playing Halo 2, and I was like, we need an Xbox now. So like we saved up money and like got an Xbox, and we played that for three years until we were like really into games, watching all the coverage, and like it's 2005, or like 360 is going to come out soon.
Oh
and
my
we're like,
God,
Grandma, we need this. Like, this is the first time we're going to be in on a new console.
Okay, keep going with that. I was going to ask about something else, but like, talk to me about that. Like, this is, what a remarkable thing. Like, this is the first time after all these years of being with games, like now you're watching all this stuff, and like, even just knowing that there's something coming out, right? Not somebody else bringing over an Xbox and like you discovering it that way. Like, you're on the ground floor at this point.
Yeah, this was like this was when I was a teen. I was the 13 years old, where I was looking things up, and I was like, okay, what version? What's the difference between the versions? We need to specifically tell, like, on our Christmas list, like, don't get the arcade version because it doesn't have a hard drive. We had to spell it out, what games we wanted specifically, like what was looking good. I remember going to like the kiosks that had it ahead of time in stores and just like staring up, looking. I'm like, this is amazing. So we get that Christmas morning. So like a month after it came out, right? Because it came out in November, I think.
Yeah.
But that's like the first we got a new console the year it came out. Like
remember when you used to be able to buy a console when it came out? Remember when that was a thing? Like, does it feel like, just to jump to like right now, does it feel like, if you think about when did the Series X come out, does it feel like it was just this past November?
Yeah, it does.
Like, it's a year and a half, like a full and more than a year and a half, and we're still like, people are lucky to get it. Like, it's the Wii all over again.
I've never seen one in stores. I've never seen any next
Series X. Me neither.
I've seen Series S, but I've never seen a next gen PS5 or a Series X.
That is absolutely insane, man. But yeah, okay. So let's go back to 360 days.
Yeah. So
what was on your list? Like, what did you want to get with it?
Gears of War was the big one.
Yeah, man.
And which was like, we weren't sure if they were down with getting that, because, you know, obviously is M-rated.
Chainsaw and a machine gun. Good God.
This is the benefit of having like adults that didn't really like look into games. They just were like, okay, they just literally bought us whatever we want. Like, because first of all, I think they gave us a lot of credit, and they just like, they're good kids. Like, they didn't really care if we were playing, because games like Grand Theft Auto didn't ever appeal to me. Like, they still don't appeal to me. I never really got my dad, that was like the other game. Like, he got a PS2 just to play Vice City, and he was like, you want to play? And I was like, I don't like this game. Like, this isn't for me. So
that's what you're meant to do as a like, you're supposed to disappoint people around you like that. Like, I like this, and you're like, I don't care. Like, I'll be devastated to learn if Ellie doesn't like The Last of Us. Like, one day I cannot wait to show her like who she's named after, and she's like, oh, this is dumb.
I was just going to ask you, is she named after Ellie from The Last of Us?
Yeah, big time. Yeah, and I actually want to, like, I've been thinking about this as well. Like, I want to, like, my parents have no idea, like, what The Last of Us is. They know that she's named after a character in a video game, but, like, that's as far as it goes for them. And so the show, I'm so excited for.
I was going to say, I think the show might be a good way to introduce them to that, because it's probably going to have, like, HBO is probably going to be good.
I hope it's good. Like, honestly, and it's only because that show is coming that I haven't, like, sent them a selection of YouTube videos to go, like, watch these to understand, like, what this is about. And I was watching, as good Canadian families do, we got together last night. We were watching some of the Oilers play. As we record this, they played game 6. It was a good night. We won. So that's good. But I was asking my brother, who is a big PlayStation fan. I'm like, so do you play The Last of Us? And he's like, no, I've never played The Last of Us. And I just, how does this happen? Like, how does something like this occur? He's sitting there playing Gran Turismo 7, which I gave to him because I didn't like it. Like, how are you doing that? I would just get over here and play freaking The Last of Us, man.
I also haven't played The Last of Us. Sean.
Oh, you've got to be Kevin. Okay, pause this. Are you serious? You've played 44 games this year and not one of them? You didn't accidentally play The Last of Us at some point?
The problem is, the PS5 is my first PlayStation, right? So I didn't have a PS4.
That explains a lot. Okay.
But my brother had a PS4.
Yeah.
And we lived together before I moved here for a year and a half. And I saw him play The Last of Us. So I know everything that happens. So for me, I'm like, I don't really need to experience I know the big like plot points and like the emotional impact. So for me, it's whenever I think about like, should I play it? I'm like, I already know what happens. I don't think it'll have the same weight as if I was going in blind. Yeah. And same with The Last of Us 2. I watched him play that. Like I told him
the whole thing. Like every play session you were with him, just watching the whole time.
No, but I got spoiled on it online.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And he did not like The Last of Us Part 2.
Well, he's on my team on that one, man. I didn't like it either. Yeah, no, I didn't.
He says the first half is a masterpiece. The second half is awful. That's where he stands on it.
I don't know if I call any of it a masterpiece, but that's a whole other. Maybe that's a whole other conversation.
That's for the Patreon show.
Well, we gotta like tease it every once in a while. Like that's kind of what it's about. I think it's just like it's a huge pacing problem, and I just wanted to like I don't think I will ever get over the frustration I felt when I got to the halfway point, and then just what happens at that point. Mm-hmm. It's like you can't do that to me. Like this is a critical moment, and then it has nothing to do with any of the characters. It has nothing to do with anything else other than we were right there, and we're somewhere else, and I really, really didn't like that at all. Yeah, hopefully that's still spoiler free.
Yeah, no, So going back to your daughter, was there, when you brought up, first of all, I assume it was your idea, but when you brought up to Chelsea, you were like, hey, I want to name our daughter Ellie. What was her reaction?
I actually don't remember whose idea it was.
Oh, okay.
I really don't. Because Chelsea loves The Last of Us as well. So it wasn't whosever idea it was, there was never any like persuading or convincing. I will say that I remember like we were having a pretty hard time coming up with girl names. Once we discovered that we were going to be having a girl, we didn't have nearly as many names as we had with Lincoln. Like Lincoln was almost Miles, like very, very close, which is interesting because now good friend Marcus O'Neill had his son Miles, so very cool to see. But one of the reasons, this is so silly, one of the reasons that derailed us from Miles is my sister, her son is named James, and we were about to go to James's birthday party or something, and we're like, nobody knows what to do with that damn S at the end. Like James, is it apostrophe? Is it like another ad? Like nobody knows what to do with this thing. And so we're like, no names that we had two rules. There was 2-syllable maximum and no names that end in S. So whatever that left us, that's how we have a Lincoln and Ellie at this point.
Is Lincoln named after
Lincoln is Link. Lincoln is, so when we watched Prison Break many years ago.
Oh my God, one of my favorite shows ever.
Same here, dude. Actually, oh shoot, I don't think I even mentioned, I was on the Good Morning Guys podcast and we talked about some of our favorite shows growing up, and I totally I should have. Prison Break should be one of them, but Lincoln Burrows is actually, like, if we're being very literal, like Lincoln Burrows, the brother, is who he's named after. But we were watching it and we realized they kept calling him Link, and I'm like, that's awesome. Like that's kind of like a cool way to call him Link, but not name him Link from The Legend of Zelda. He's Lincoln, but we'll just call him Link. So
we need to go. You need to get to a Comic-Con with Dominic Purcell there.
That's
for
right.
One of those CW shows, and be like, I named my son after your character.
Yeah, because you reminded us of the hero of time, basically.
Oh man, I love those names. That's great.
I like. But Ellie was born in 2018. And then The Last of Us Part 2 happened. It's like, well, this is why you don't do that.
You couldn't have known.
You didn't. But as it turns out, she's kind of living up to that. So I'm a little worried of that. Like she's a vengeful, violent little Spitfire. So, but named after, like, Lincoln named after the hero of time, and Ellie named after, the possible savior of the human race, who the dad or father figure will probably screw up at some point.
Well,
and then bad things happen.
Maybe learn from Joel. That's all I'm saying, Sean. Learn from Joel.
I don't know, like that's a whole The Last of Us on it in and of itself is just so good that's probably at the core of my distaste for the second one, is that I believe the first one is just so special. In that moment at the end, I don't know, like The Last of Us Part 1 is so old now. It's like, it's hard to, is this in spoiler territory or not? But obviously Joel makes a decision at the end of the first one that it's like, oh man, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I literally have an Ellie.
Yeah.
Impossible. An absolutely impossible decision. Because, yeah.
For sure.
Oh man, I love that game so much. And it's like, aside from that, it's it's a pretty good zombie game. Like, it's a pretty good kind of horror, end of the world kind of thing. But then you got like this amazing father, almost daughter kind of thing. And it's so good. And that's, I think, why God of War is also so special. It's just like these PlayStation games getting you in the feels with like these parent and child scenarios. It's so good, man.
I love God of War. Like, that is a game that I genuinely love. Like, when I got that was one of the first games I played when I got my PlayStation 5. Sean, I've noticed you haven't been on your PlayStation 5 in like a month, buddy.
Yeah, is that because it says it, right? It says
it's like last online like a month, and I was like, Sean, what's going on here?
I was talking to somebody who's one of my staff at work. He's like, I've been meaning to drop off my PS5 for you to play, and I'm like, I got one, and he's like, you never talk about it. I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
Play it that much.
I played Horizon. I keep wanting to say Forza. I played Horizon, and that was fine. And I played Gran Turismo 7 for about a day, and it's so lame. It's so, like, everything else is so special with PlayStation, and Gran Turismo is so dry. And who was it? Somebody said something like somebody's a wet rag or something. So we were talking on we were on the backtrackers. I wish I could remember who said it. One of the characters in Life is Strange was just like a wet rag, I think they said. I'm just like, that's so funny. They said Ryan was a wet rag. I just love it. I feel like that's Gran Turismo. Just lame. But yeah, no, I don't know. You know me, I've been bouncing all over the place trying to figure out what to play. Played Kirby on my Switch. Has been dominating my time, dude.
Switch has been good this year.
Switch has been great this year.
I might upset Kato if she ever listens to this, but like the last 2 years for Switch, it's basically just been a Smash Bros. Machine for me. Like, I literally have had nothing to play on it, and I know Animal Crossing came out in that time frame.
I'm with you.
Yeah, it's just not for me. It's not. It doesn't do anything for me. But they're killing it this year. Kirby was fantastic. Triangle strategy, despite what Kato says, Sean, is great. You need to play it.
I know. I'm getting to it. Did I tell you that I did the tournament bracket just by myself? I think I mentioned it on the Xbox Drive.
Yes, maybe. I heard your 64 games.
Games. Yeah. We can jump into that if you want. We could just do like a walk through of that together. But
yeah, you have it handy with you?
Yeah, challenge.com. I should share the link with people. Anybody could see like what happened with the breakdown. I ended up choosing Rise of the Tomb Raider in the end anyways. In a final battle of Rise of the Tomb Raider versus one of the Uncharted games in the new remaster. So I almost was on my PlayStation 5. But it was a coin flip in the end.
So Uncharted, another series I haven't played.
Unforgivable, dude. Unforgivable.
Okay, I'm gonna listen. I'm coming off really like Xbox fanboy right now. Like, he hosts an Xbox podcast. Like, nothing about Uncharted to me. Like, when I look at it, I'm like, it just doesn't look appealing to me. Like, I don't. Man. And my brother played all of them, and he told me that 1.5 games are good, and the rest of it's bad.
Okay, we need to have your brother on. I need to have a chat with him. He's giving you false information. On what planet is Uncharted not great? It's just great. I can't do it. I gotta get you a copy of this thing, man.
I mean, I could. Isn't one of them on PS Plus collection? I feel like on 4. I think 4 is on PS Plus collection. So I could. Oh,
don't even
4.
skip. Don't. Yeah, I don't know, man.
You gotta.
I mean, you probably could. I'm sure there's people screaming at me right now, just going like, just play the 4. And there's probably Uncharted is a very interesting franchise, I think, at this point, because it did sort of fall into a bit of a formula. And people kind of like caught onto this narrative that Nathan Drake, the main character, is a mass murderer because he's a video game character and he's got to like go through like
everyone's a mass murderer.
These henchmen, exactly. Everybody like, I mean, so is Lara Croft, and so like everybody's like. So I that never really resonated with me, but it seemed to caught fire, and it seemed to be one of the big drowning weights of the game that started to pull it under, because I don't think that Uncharted is held in the regard it used to be, and it's very strange to me that that's the case.
I think so. That's not even what puts me off. It's I don't think I like games that look realistic, like humans.
Interesting.
It's something about like it doesn't appeal. Like I've never played any of the Tomb Raider games, like that new trilogy. I haven't played those.
Oh my
because
gosh,
I'm like it just looks like a human being. Like I don't know. I don't know if that's, and those are games my brother loves. So
well,
like,
what about God of War? Like you like God, like is that not realistic? It's still like it's
I
mystical.
Don't think so.
Yeah.
It's like enough in the realm of like, okay, these are clearly not real human beings.
Sure.
For me,
yeah,
like
that's fair.
It's just something about the stylistic choice. Like, but I mean, I'm also very much like Japanese style, like the weirder the better. Like Scarlet Nexus, I was like, I love this. This is looking great to me.
What if you could play Uncharted with like Japanese voiceover and some subtitles just to throw you off a little bit? Just play some mind games with yourself.
Just confuse myself. Like,
exactly.
What's going on here?
Yeah, and you're like, this is the best game ever. Like, just totally rude. But oh man, like Nolan North as Nathan Drake, it's just one of those seminal performances. It's so great. He's such a charismatic protagonist, and even though it's a complete ripoff of Indiana Jones, and even or Tomb Raider for that matter, like it's so derivative. I still love that game. It feels so good to play. And the landscape, dude, Uncharted 2, Uncharted 4. Flip a coin on those are my favorite.
Those are the two my brothers say are good.
Yeah, they're great. And oh, dude, I wouldn't but I would never. I don't think I disagree with them, but I would never describe it in the way of like only two of them are good. Like they're so great that some of them aren't going to be as good as the others is probably a more accurate way to say it. And there's a lot of people who've gone back to the very first one, which was 2007, I think. So it's going back 15 years for Uncharted, like getting into the territory where they could do a remake and people wouldn't be mad about it, I don't think.
Yeah. I have PS Now. I have access to all of them if I ever wanted to play them. But there's like a lot of PlayStation. Like there's a running joke on my podcast that I play bad games and don't play good games, which
do you think do you feel that's true? Do you feel like you're spending time on games that aren't very good?
No, because as long as I enjoy them, I think they're like Monarch got a 62 whatever Metacritic, and I'm like, I love this game. This game's in my game of the year discussion right now. Like, wow, it doesn't matter to me like what the rating is. Like, if I go into it and I love it, that's all that matters to me. But it's like there's a lot of those big PS4 titles that like I haven't played. Like I played God of War, I played Persona 5 Royal. I played Until Dawn because I love like walking simulator horror games.
The Quarry is up there, most anticipated games.
I'm excited for that one. I hope it does well. I grabbed it in my fantasy draft.
Nice, smart.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. I can't play normal horror games like Resident Evil. I'm way too scary for me. I can't do that.
Dude, Evil Within, one of the most terrifying experiences I've ever played. Like I had to take breaks on that one.
Yeah, I can only play if you walk slowly and like.
Oh man,
yeah.
Dead Space got a date today. The Dead Space remake was dated I think January 27th or something like that next year.
Also, games I can't play. Too scary.
Oh, dude, they're so good.
They're like one of my. I keep saying my brother. Like my brother plays all these games, and I'm just like, whatever he plays, I tend not to like. We play a lot of the same like JRPGs, and like we have a lot of similar overlap, but there are games where it's like I really love Mass Effect, and he played them once and was like that was good, and then he doesn't really care about Mass Effect ever again.
Oh my gosh, dude, it was like basically Lincoln or Commander Shepard for my firstborn. Like holy crap, dude.
But like me and my one friend were just like Mass Effect like we still talk about it constantly. But like Dead Space is that trilogy. Like he thinks Dead Space is a phenomenal trilogy, and I'm like I literally can't play this. Like it's too scary for me to play.
Aw, like should I like fly over and just kind of like sit in the same room with you or something, or like it's definitely worth your time. I mean, I feel like this is the episode of me convincing you to go like, what are the lists? And I'm sure you've had all these conversations before with other friends of yours too.
If I'm gonna play it, I'll try the remake. Like, because I know my brother's gonna buy it. We game share. I will try the remake and see what happens. See if now that like I've grown a few years, we can power through these. But no, it's like I was just saying, like, I haven't played Spider-Man. I haven't played Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Kevin, 44 games this year, dude.
I haven't played any of the Arkham games, which I know
you are killing me. What about BioShock? Have you played BioShock?
I haven't played any of the BioShock games.
Like, this is over. Like, I have to hit the end button right now. You need to get, like, are these even on your radar? Are they on like your list of like things you might want to get to, or you totally passed it?
No, these are games where I'm basically like, I don't really have much interest in playing these.
Oh, wow.
Which is weird, especially for Arkham, because Gotham Knights I'm super looking forward to.
Where is that based out of? Like, why?
I think it's because I like Nightwing more than Batman.
Interesting. Okay, so you're a contrarian.
I think he's I think he's a cooler character than Batman. I think Dick Grayson is cooler than Batman. I don't know what to say.
Tell me more. I won't even argue with you on this. I'll just let you deal with Court Lalonde and others.
Listen, no, because like they're hardcore Batman fans. Like they know the history, and I'm just like, I read very little Batman growing up, and I watched a lot of animated, and I always was like, Robin's awesome, and then when he ditches Batman and becomes Nightwing, I'm like, he's even more awesome now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, well, there's always people out there. I think Tony Baker is one of them who like legitimately feels like Luigi is the better or more interesting or more fun or whatever. There you go. So like, of course you think that. Like, I feel like that's the same mentality.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I genuinely, we had a hot takes episode, and I was like, Mario sucks. Luigi's the better Mario Brothers.
He's okay. So I understand if people just have like a preference, but like to say that he sucks, to say that Mario sucks.
Mario. So
explain yourself, sir.
All Mario.
Where can people reach you on Twitter, by the way? Where can people send their message?
The Muffin Mon. It's a 107I and 007A. Yeah, if you want to come. I've had the Minecraft kids come for me before because I dared to speak against Minecraft Steve coming into Smash Brothers. Yeah, yeah. No, but okay, so Mario is so bland. He literally has no personality besides I'm gonna go save Peach. Luigi has personality. He gets scared. He's a great brother. He's always saving Mario in his games. I don't see Mario saving Luigi that much. Like,
Luigi's sitting on his butt at home while Mario's doing all the saving himself. What do you mean?
Nah. Luigi's off busting ghosts, all right? He's a ghost buster, okay? I'm just okay. Luigi, he's taller for being a younger brother, clearly, and this is the key one. He has a better girlfriend. Daisy is better than Peach.
I don't think I agree with that. Not even a little. But why is Daisy better than Peach? What are you talking about?
She has a cuter personality. She's like sporty. She's like having fun. Peach is just like
when they're in sports games, they're both the same. They're
Daisy's
both
the sports character. Daisy's extra sporty though. There's a reason everyone's like, how can Daisy not be in Mario Strikers?
But is she?
No, she's not in the new Mario Strikers.
Sounds like she's not very sporty to me, man. She's just sitting on the bench. She didn't make the team. She didn't make the cut.
No, I
think you just made my own point. Like, that's just like, no.
Nintendo's made a mistake. That's why we need a petition. Get Daisy back in Mario Strikers.
Can we agree actually that like neither, but like actually Rosalina is best girl?
For sure. That's who I'm gonna main in Mario Strikers.
There you go.
Rosalina's awesome.
I think we can go with that.
Yeah, for sure. Love Rosalina. I pick her in Mario Party. I like playing her in Smash Brothers. She's awesome. Yeah, I can get down with that.
But listen, to say that Mario sucks, dude, like
Luigi's got better games too.
Okay, like which ones? What do you, Dr. Luigi? Oh yeah,
the
way
Luigi
better than
Mansion
Dr. Mario.
games are Luigi's Mansion 3 is better than any Mario game.
No,
Sean.
No,
listen, I know, man.
I'm just gonna let you sit in that for a little bit. What are you on, dude? Holy cow! Okay, forget all the like convincing I was trying to do before about trying to get you to play like good games, because you're not gonna appreciate them. Like, don't play them. Don't, because then you're gonna come back to me and go like, I didn't like it. It's just like, just save me that garbage.
Mario Odyssey wasn't that good. Yeah.
Well, I don't.
I haven't
disagree.
played. I haven't played
dis-
Mario Odyssey.
I don't disagree that Mario Odyssey is probably not the greatest Mario game.
Really?
But like, I don't think it's awesome. No, I never actually was compelled to even complete it because I just like I don't know. It was fine.
Do you prefer 2D or 3D Mario?
I prefer 3D World. I think 3D World and 3D Land might be my favorite Mario games of all time.
I'm with you. I like those.
But I mean, like historically and like nostalgia and everything else, like Mario 3, Mario 4, if like gun to the head, I'm thinking somewhere between Mario 3 or Mario World are my favorites. But I love Mario 3D World and Mario 3D Land. Like, I don't know what it is. I think the music is spectacular. I remember thinking like, because I've played obviously a bunch of Mario games as I've grown old, and I remember thinking through so many of them, these levels aren't memorable.
Yeah.
Like these levels are just like, I'm just Mario just kind of like hopping through stuff. And I've had a hard time reconciling whether or not it was just the time and place that I was experiencing these games and comparing that to levels in Mario 1 or really like basic up until Super Nintendo, where I had played those so many times over and over and over again. Were they memorable because I had memorized them, because I'd played them so many times, or were they legitimately like better designed levels? And I think once I hit 3D World and 3D Land, I'm like, no, because those ones hit me immediately as like wonderfully designed game levels and things like that. So I look at Mario, like the new Super Mario Brothers, that's kind of like where I was talking about, where it hit me. Like these are not memorable at all. It just seemed very cookie cutter, formulaic kind of thing. And I still believe that. So yeah.
So what's your feelings on Super Mario Sunshine?
Don't like it. Not even a little bit. And I bet you like, and it plays like a Luigi. I think that's actually a Luigi game, but Mario stars in it. That's kind of like, that's my hot take for today.
That
Mario Sunshine is a Luigi game.
My brother also likes that one though, and he likes the Mario game. Like he's much more into the Mario. Like he doesn't care about Luigi. He thinks Luigi games are bad. But like we're on the opposite coin there. But I'm gonna throw something out here. I think Donkey Kong might be Nintendo's best platformer.
Oh, I think you and Justin Masson are right along those lines.
I love Donkey Kong games. They are since 64, right? Like they're phenomenal. Tropical Freeze was amazing. This might be one of the best games on Switch.
Wow.
And I was literally like blown away when I was playing it.
What do you like about it?
First of all, it's difficult compared to most platformers on the Switch. Like Kirby, as much as I loved the new Kirby game, which I did, it's not difficult in the slightest, right?
Yeah,
like,
of course.
Until the final boss. The final boss.
Dude, no kidding. Where did this come from?
I'm like, we in Dark Souls now? Like, where'd Kirby go?
I remember somebody else said that to me, and I was like, do you even know what Dark Souls is? Like, what are you even on? And then I got to the final boss. I'm like, they weren't far off, man.
Yeah, no. So, but like Donkey Kong has difficulty, and I think the level design is just spectacular in Tropical Freeze. Like there's a unique level. Every little section you go to is so unique. Like you have a lava section, you have a frozen section, and you have to play like each one differently. You have the different like the barrels and the vines. Like it just adds a different mechanic that I feel like just running and jumping you don't really get.
Yeah. You make me want to. This is why I love talking to different people every single week. Like you make me want to just go play that. Because I've held a pretty stubborn stance on Tropical Freeze that I don't like it as much as maybe like Donkey Kong Country or like I have a huge history with Donkey Kong Land. That was my first game I bought with my Game Boy. And so, but I'm not sure it, again, it's the same thing that I was just saying with Mario. Like, why do I feel that way about Tropical Freeze? Everybody likes it. Like this game's like, it's sitting at what, like 90 something on Metacritic. Like everybody likes it. Everybody loves Donkey Kong Returns from 3DS, and it got remade. That was original, right? I think the original was on 3DS, or is it Wii actually?
I'm not sure.
Donkey Kong
I didn't have a 3DS.
Yeah, but Donkey Kong Country is like really what like sits at home for me. But maybe I should go back and play this one, dude.
It's difficult. It's definitely difficult. Like, and I think it comes from I'm a huge Crash Bandicoot fan. Yeah. So I love those difficult 3D platformers. And which is the complete opposite of me in most other games. Like you will not see me playing a Souls game because I'm like, they're too hard. And yet Crash 4, the final level, I'm like 96 deaths. Let's keep going. Like I can get this because it was like a frame perfect thing you had to do to finish the final level of Crash 4. And I'm just like, why can I do this? But like Dark Souls and Elden Ring, I'm like, I don't have time for that. Like,
did you ever play Ukulele and the Impossible Lair?
Yes.
The second one? That game is
very
special,
hard.
dude. Yeah, man. Speaking of hard games.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of that one, considering the Donkey Kong kind of...
So I like it. I like the first Ukulele more just because of my... I know
because
it's a
of the
hot take,
banjo connection?
because of the banjo connection.
Yeah.
And it's because like I just love the original the banjo and Banjo-Tooie so much that like when I was playing ukulele, I'm like, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And I actually played Impossible Lair before the original Ukulele. So
interesting.
So I played Impossible Lair, and then I played Ukulele for the first time last year when it was on sale. I picked it up, and then I was like, I like this game more, even though I know it's not as well made as the Impossible Lair. Like,
look at you.
I just enjoyed it.
This is you. This is who you are, Kev.
And that's fine. Like people, my podcast team can come at me and be like, "You play bad games," but that's fine. Like I'm okay.
But the thing is, like, it's not even. I don't know. I think there's a purity to it all, and I appreciate like every syllable that you're saying because there's like it's not even like you're getting free games or anything. Like this is just who you are. There can never be a question about it, and not that I really do believe that you can be provided games and it not actually sway you at least especially in the long term, especially if you start to get used to it and it doesn't really impact you at all. You might be a little bit afraid in the beginning to say something negative about a game you got for free, but after a while you kind of realize like that doesn't matter. You'd rather be truthful and honest about things. And so, but there's none of that with you. Like it's not like you're, I don't know, compensating for anything. You just like it. And I think that's awesome.
I just don't know, like people can like, I'm always just like, people can like whatever games they want. Like I feel like there's a mentality where, oh, well, you like that game, there's something wrong with you. Or like I have to somehow prove that you're wrong for your opinion. And I'm just like, why can't we just all enjoy? Like you can like Elden Ring.
Well, you're wrong about Mario. Like we'll just like be clear about that.
Fine.
You're
That's
wrong.
fine. I can take that one on the chin. But but like people are over here like, oh, Elden Ring is clearly game of the year. And for me, I'm like, Nobody Saves the World is the best game I've played this year.
I gotta get to it. Holy cow. Yeah. You're not the first person to say that too. I think Garrett Bland is right with you. I think Joseph Moran up there with you as well. Yeah.
It's just because I played it co-op. One of the only weekends that like I wasn't with my girlfriend. I asked my brother, I was like, do you want to play this co-op with me? Like you like Drink Box's Guacamelee games.
I say you like to drink.
No, you like Drink Box's Guacamelee games. I never played them, but like this looks like up my alley. Yeah. And we smashed that whole game 100% in one weekend. Wow. Like 24 hours our playtime came into, and it was like over 4 days. And I'm
what's your caffeine intake? I gotta ask you this. Like this whole zero caffeine.
Yeah, I only drink water from this 3,000 milliliter water bottle.
Is it actually 3,000? That's a 3 liter.
Yeah, it's 3,000 milliliters. Yeah,
that's damn near a gallon of water you're drinking there.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So
I gotta get more on that
day. Yeah, I have that for the day. I have a water bottle I bring to the gym, so like I get a little more than 3,000 milliliters a day. But caffeine. I tried it before when I was working overnights. Like people were like, "You're gonna need caffeine," and then I would like get caffeine and nothing would happen. I'd be like, "This is pointless. We're
all faking it, Kev. We're all just like messing with you, man."
It's a scam. You're all it's a placebo effect. No, I clearly think for some people it helps them like get up and get going in the morning. No, it's
a dependency. Like we'll be clear. Devin, dude, like yes, I feel like I might be an authority on this matter. Because I also like for a while, I would say a long time, was totally off it as well. Not totally, because I still had it in diet sodas and whatnot. But yeah, at a certain point, I kind of went like, well, I like it. I'm going to have it. But I think dependency is probably the best way to put it, because you obviously can live without it. You and me, and I have lived without it. So like now that I have my coffees back, I like it, but do I need it? I don't know. Like the whole reason I went off of it to begin with was because I was crashing so hard, both either in my energy levels or maybe at the exact same time, my mood was the thing that I noticed the most was as I was crashing, I was just grumpy, just not like I would feel like I wasn't myself. And that was something I just needed to get a handle on.
That's interesting. I wouldn't expect it to affect your mood like that. Like I can understand being tired, but
just cranky. I think they went hand in hand, honestly. Like I think my energy levels were low and then I would just get irritable or whatever. But yeah, I think that had a lot to do with it.
For me, I don't know. Like I fully expect because like I get like 6.5 hours of sleep a night. And I feel like that works for me. I know everyone's like, you need 8. And I'm like, well, I can't really sleep for 8. Like when I don't have an alarm, like on the weekends, I don't sleep 8 hours. I just wake up naturally.
Yeah.
So like my body is clearly telling me like, you don't need 8 hours, like get up and let's get going. So when my alarm goes off in the morning, I'm not one of those people that like have multiple alarms. I turn it off, hop out of bed and go like start brushing my teeth and getting ready. Like
you got a good rhythm, man. That's awesome.
So it's just like, I have to get up. I have to start doing things and I want to be productive. And then it's like at night when people are like, oh, let's like wind down and go to bed. I'm like, but I could be getting things done. Like we could be efficient right now.
We are aligned on that one, my friend. Yeah. I would say as somebody who's like lived that path for a long time, just be mindful. Like it can definitely, at least, and it's really just me maybe projecting a little bit, but that definitely led me down a path that was, not the best in the end. And so I've definitely tried to find a little bit of balance and I'm finding the balance. I don't know if I've ever really found it, but yeah, like looking at every moment as it's got to be doing something was great because I was getting a lot of stuff done and all these things, but eventually like I think it caught up with me and I think it was even TPR in the Discord recently. It's just like, just watch yourself, man. So I'm just kind of passing that along. Just, be mindful. Like you're a healthy guy. You're getting lots of stuff done. So just keep doing it.
Trying to lose some pounds right now with the whole pandemic. It just like gained weight and it's like I've lost weight before. So like at my heaviest, I was like 240.
I can't picture it.
I was 240 pounds, like high school and college.
Yeah.
Like I just got up there, which college will do that to you. They give you like, oh, swipe this card and you get a free buffalo chicken pizza whenever you want.
Oh my God. That sounds amazing.
It's good. It's going to do that to you. So like after I got out of college, I was like, I'm going to start exercising. So I lost like 80 pounds. I think my lowest I got to like 155.
Was that dangerous? Was that like too much?
I don't think so. Like I never felt like I felt good. Like I felt comfortable. And I wasn't like I wasn't eating. Like I was tracking my calories, making sure I got all the thing I needed to, like getting blood work to make sure everything was healthy.
Yeah.
But like since the pandemic started, I've gained, I don't know, like 20 pounds. Like I probably am like 175 now or like 180, which isn't that bad. Like most people are like, it's really not like 5'10", like 175.
It's such a personal thing, but I would kill for that.
It's like but I don't feel comfortable right now.
That's all that matters. Yeah.
So I'm like, because my girlfriend was like, you're fine. You don't need to go on a diet. You don't need to like do all this. And I'm like, you're not listening to me. Cause like, I'm telling you, like, I don't feel comfortable right now. Like I need to do this to try to get into my, like feel good about like how I look and like just walking around being like more confident. So
yeah, man, that resonates with me big time because there were moments like as things were kind of like starting to slip and I was well aware as like, 2 pounds turns into 5 pounds turns into 7. You're just like, that doesn't feel good and I don't like it. And then you'd have people who were trying to say nice things to you, like, don't worry about it. And you're like, you don't feel like what this feels like right now. Like these clothes that I've had that just don't like, I don't feel comfortable and I don't want it. So it actually becomes kind of destructive in that way. Or at least that was my experience.
Yeah, I try. So like, it's hard because like the thing that's I think kind of set me off was like we had a group photo taken at work. And I was like, I do not like the way I look in that photo. And then I like started looking back at like previous photos of like before the pandemic. And I was like, I looked so like, I like the way I look back then. Like, let's try to get somewhere there. And I'm like, but it's like 3 years later. Like I'm 29 now. Like
that is going to be part of it. Yeah. As much as
like
we want to like not, account for that sort of thing. But yeah, like aging is a thing.
It sucks because I feel like once I hit 28, my metabolism just disappears.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
And I'm just like, what happened? Like this wasn't a thing. Like a year ago, if I was on the diet I was on, like I'd be shedding pounds. And it's like right now it's I don't even know because I had COVID. So like my whole month is my whole April was just thrown off, like completely destroyed from COVID because I couldn't leave the house for a few weeks. I couldn't exercise for like 3 weeks because even after I was cleared to leave the house, I was still having like lasting effects. Like exercise was just like hard to get back into.
Big time.
So it's really just like this week is kind of the first week in like a month where I'm like going hard, feeling good about like exercising.
Good again. For you. Does it make you feel does it help at all to know that everybody else is going through the exact same thing?
Kind of like, so in psychology, we learn that like especially as teenagers, we think the entire world is focused on us.
Yeah.
And and I always try to keep this in mind, like tell other people when they're anxious or like worried what other people think, was like the majority of the world does not care about you. They're not looking at you. They're not judging you. Like they're just living their life, and you just happen to be someone walking in their like
totally.
So like I try to keep that in mind, that like, okay, I view myself this way. Everyone else might not view me this way because like they're not treating me any different. They're not like saying different. They're not like, those jeans are looking a little tighter on you. Like nobody is calling it out. It's more of a personal thing for me.
So, but I don't know if it's so like, but does it like, I want to almost like reiterate the question again.
Yeah, go for it.
Does it make you, are you, because it sounds like you're just being hard on yourself, which I can say because probably. I'm hard on myself a lot. I think I was saying somewhere in the last week when I was in Vancouver last week, I had 3 separate people, totally separate conversations. Nothing was overlapping. 3 separate people telling me that I was too hard on myself. So it's like this is kind of just top of mind for me right now. Like, does it ease the being hard on yourself when you come to consider that everybody, like so many of even the people in the Discord, our friends, like our family, we've had a bout with COVID that puts us on our ass for a stupid long period of time, or the fact that we've just been like locked up for 2 years and gyms haven't been open. Like we've all been kind of going through this. Does it help to kind of like equalize things a little bit in your brain?
Yes and no. It's nice to know. It's
nice. No.
It's nice to know I'm not alone, but also like it doesn't. I'm not them. So like when I look at them, I'm like, you look good. Like you don't need to lose weight. And then I'm like, I look at me and I'm like, we need to work on this. Yeah, so it's like it's more.
That's how I think too. Yep.
Yeah. It doesn't really like. It's great. Everyone's going through it, but I'm not everyone else. I'm me. Like I want to lose the weight for me. And if everyone else is losing it at the same time, great. We can all do it together.
Can you separate yourself, your own like inner thoughts from kind of like your background in education and training and things like that? Like, do you self-analyze yourself like that? Is that even possible to do?
Sometimes like, it was probably a lot worse. Like when I was in college, I had like a major, depression spell. Like I was going to therapy, and that helped a little bit. Like I was on medication, and it was just something like, okay, I'm getting through. Was this
when you were very overweight too? Were they correlated? Do you think?
Probably, because it was like I went to college. I had just split from my like high school girlfriend, as most college students do, and then it's like, and then you're stuck like not liking how you look, but like you didn't really care because you had a partner. Like, but now they're gone. So it's like, okay, now you have to look at yourself. Now you got to
get hot.
Yeah. Now you got to look at yourself. So it was definitely like, it was a mixture of things, but like college was really not a good mental health time for me. And it was, I wouldn't say that like my mental health got better once I lost all the weight. Like I still had mental health things to deal with. And one thing that like really got me into a mindset of like just do your best or like change your perspective was like yoga. I started doing yoga, and I always recommend it to everyone because it allows you to like take yourself out of the moment and just like think about things.
I
and
totally
like
agree.
maybe life isn't nearly as bad as my brain is convincing me it is.
Mm-hmm.
So like I wouldn't say I psychoanalyze myself. I will say that like in my 20 to 29-year-old, I've learned like this is what made me sad, and I know how my brain reacts to things now, so I can like kind of speak to myself and like, okay, I'm getting anxious. Like, well, why am I anxious? Like, let's figure that out. And you know what? You don't really have a reason to be anxious right now, or you're gonna get through it. Everything's temporary. Like, just breathe a little.
Everything is temporary I say that to myself almost on a daily basis. This too shall pass. Like, I think that there's a lot of, if you allow it to have meaning in your life, or at least I should say, I always say you, but I really do mean like, I'm kind of reflecting on myself here a little bit. Like when I allow those words to have like meaning for me, it's hugely helpful. If I say it with like a genuine authenticity and believing that that's the case, then suddenly I can breathe again. I can get through stuff. And then I get to prove that statement right. A week goes by and it's like, remember when I legit said that to myself? I wrote it down or I said it out loud. Like I was right. And that always feels good. Like you want to feel it to be right. And those self-affirmations I think are important for sure.
Yeah. I've tried to like express that to like other people in my life and just be like, I think you're kind of letting your brain control like how, and it's hard because your brain does control how you feel, but like you control your brain to a certain extent. And I understand like there are people with biological things that like cause them to feel certain ways and like maybe medication is needed, but like you do have a certain amount of control over your brain. So like instead of wallowing in like sadness and constantly thinking, like find ways to like distract yourself, or like what will help in a situation, what will help you not be anxious. Public speaking, like that's an easy one. Like that's one we always go, like that's one of the most common things that people get nervous about is public speaking. And I just one day woke up and I was like, everyone in the class is public speaking. Why am I like the sweating bullets over here? They're not going to judge me more than they're going to judge anyone else in this room.
Well, and I think like as you say this, and I feel like we're sort of in maybe similar mental spaces given our journeys over the last couple of years, obviously totally independent of one another. But I can definitely remember a time when if you said what you just said, if you said that to me maybe 4 or 5 years ago, yeah, probably about 5 years. Like Lincoln was about a half a year old, and I was just like at my absolute worst place. And if somebody just said like, just go distract yourself, I would have strangled you.
For sure.
I would have grabbed a rock and smashed you across the face. Like I was just at that point. But after like now that I've really been working on myself on that front, like started therapy in the January after things got really nasty, and have started building up my toolkit on that front. Now I do see that, like get up and go to the gym, do the things that your brain is telling you that you don't want to do. Like I understand now that works, but it's really hard to hear when you're in the middle of it. Like, and I think that's the thing I value so much about therapy is how do you break the cycle, right? Because it's just a circular thing that keeps you and nothing makes sense. All the rational thoughts, just like, nope, I'm circling around too much. I'm not even stopping to listen. It's just not sinking in.
For sure. And like, I'm not trying to, if someone out there is listening is like struggling, I'm not trying to be like, oh, you're struggling. Like you just need to go do something else.
Yeah, go take a walk.
Like,
go do some push-ups.
That's not what I'm trying to say. Like I am very much a proponent of like therapy is great. Like get therapy. It's very helpful. It was okay for me. Like I didn't have the best, it helped, but like,
I've heard a lot of those experiences.
But also, don't go into therapy thinking this person's going to fix me.
True.
I've someone with a psychology degree, and I work in a place right now with a lot of, psychology professionals. We often hear like, oh, well, you're here to fix me, or you're here to tell me what to do. And like, that's not what therapy is.
Yeah.
Therapy is you learning how to fix yourself.
Yep. Yeah, you got to be an active participant in that. And that's why I liked my therapist so much. And I still see her. It's been probably far too long at this point. But that was the message and expectations that were set on day one, actually. Yeah, that's how bad do you want to break this cycle? Were questions that we had. And this is like, I was sitting there just like bawling my eyes out thinking, Lincoln cannot grow up without a dad. Like that's where I was at, was just like, that can't happen. So call me motivated in that moment, dude. So like whatever you say, well, I'll do it. You give me homework, I will read it. Like I was in it. So I think, that matters when you decide that you're going to try to do something to break the cycle, then you commit big time.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, I obviously didn't know you back then, but like, it's great that you had like, oh, my son is like I'm gonna do this for him. Certainly. And I'm not trying to get like overly emotional and like,
I had a couple things about it too. Like I had a friend take his own life and one of the things that I remember from that, then this was all part of that first meeting, was like, it was described to me how it all happened, and his mom actually found him. And one of the lasting impacts that he had on my life was a warning: don't do that to people. Don't ever, like, no matter how bad things are, like don't make somebody else like, and then it almost makes it sound like do it discreetly, like do it somewhere, like just don't do it is the message. But like he definitely, like, it was like this crazy, because I knew him, I know his mom very, very well, I know their house, I know where it all would have went down. So it was like this visual that like hit me and rocked me to my core, where it's like, I can't do that to somebody. So between that and having Lincoln, like picturing him and to bring it totally 360 to like back to where we started with all this, like imagine, I would imagine what his life would be like if I did that to him, and how that would affect him. Would he have trust issues? Would he have, like, I don't know. I can't even imagine the different like pathways he could have taken if something terrible like that happened. And then Ellie wouldn't exist. Like the butterfly effect is crazy.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, as someone that did grow up without their mom, not obviously suicide, but like it does make a difference having those two people. So like it's great that it worked for you, and anyone out there, like if you're struggling, like I always just people will help you. Like big you can get the help. And suicide is such a like messed up, like it's awful.
It's awful. Yeah. There's not much else about it. It's like,
I mean, my high school, we had, we've had 3 suicides.
Wow.
Like,
holy cow.
We had one when I was there, and then 2, like my graduating class. So like people I went to school with took their lives after like we graduated. And it was always like, you hear the stories of like who found them and like all this awful, and it's like, I just, you think about like, what if it's someone like, what if I found someone? Like, what if it's someone like I know, like, or like you were saying, like, what if someone found me? Like, what would you would destroy them? Like
forever, irreversible. Yeah.
If I walked in and someone I loved was just like dead, I'd be like, I don't know what
you can't even say it.
No, it's messed up. Like it's certainly awful. So.
Well, and I think when we went down the track, I was kind of exploring a little bit the downturn of your mental health and kind of tying it to a couple things, and you kind of went over all the changes, and I think just accounting for that sort of thing, like, and that it's real. And I remember going through something a similar sort of exercise where it's like giving yourself a little bit of credit for going through some shit. Because I think for the most part, we just go like, well, like it's life, but it's like, no. And it may be yes, but also no. Like it doesn't discount how impactful, how stressful a new like college can be, and new living conditions. Like it's just uncharted territory, the relationship stuff, like it all matters. And I think that there's like this conflict in our brains that happens where we go, I'm trying to make this not a big deal, but holy shit, this is crushing me, kind of thing. And we can't reconcile those two.
It's super. First of all, I think we all tend to be harder on ourselves than like we probably need to be.
Yes. Oh yeah, no doubt.
But it's interesting you say that, because I had a coworker who she would always say the phrase, someone else has it worse than me.
Yep.
And I would try to explain to her, I'm like, but that doesn't diminish what
Totally.
you're going through. And this was a human being. She got breast cancer 3 times.
And she would say other people have it worse than her?
Literally while she was going through chemo for the 3rd one, she would still say this phrase. And I was like, you literally have breast cancer again. Like, I understand.
Does she know that she's the person who we're talking about when we say things like that? Like, somebody else has got it worse for me. Like, we look to people like, there's cancer patients out there.
I tried to explain it to her. She did unfortunately end up passing away, which
I'm sorry. Oh my gosh.
What was certainly rough. The day after my 28th birthday.
Holy, 27? And she was like friend, like growing, like same age.
Yeah. Well, no, she was my coworker. So, but I worked with her for 5 years. So like and it was just, my office was me, her, and one other person. So like we talked 8 hours a day, basically. Yeah. So like that was rough, but like, I still just think of like, how can she possibly think someone has it worse than her? Like, right. She lost all her hair. Like she completely looks like a different human being. Like from where I met her to where she was at the end, I'm like, I can't imagine how anyone, and you're still trying to like look on the positive. Mm-hmm. It is just like, some people just have that innate ability to like empathize about other people more than themselves. And then other people are like, my life is the hardest. So like the overall thing is like, everyone has struggles, and your like, even if on a scale of like someone's dying versus like, oh, I got dumped, like, yes, there is a ranking of like which is more severe, but like it doesn't diminish how you feel about things.
Well said. Yeah, man, and you're right. There is something that something that happens. It often happens with cancer patients as well, where they're just like, where is this strength coming from? It's just incredible. So Mario does not suck, Kevin. Just to bring it back to that. I don't know. I don't know how what we're supposed to do with this bit of information from you. But we went the distance tonight, man. We kind of explored everything. I will ask the dangerous question. Is there anything else that's been on your mind lately before we get on out of here? Is there anything else you wanted to like, I hope I get to talk to Sean about this?
I mean,
it's going another 2 hours.
Yeah. So you just rebranded.
Yes.
And we've talked behind the scenes. So my podcast, we have something in the works. For a little rebrand. I'm not gonna spill all the beans. I know someone from your community is on board with us working, and we're trying to like
somebody's leaking information, Kev. I have an inside source.
He tells me he's leaking it. Yeah. No, in fact, he doesn't tell me. He specifically he goes, "Can I ask Sean this?" And I go, yes. Why would I care? Like, of course you can ask funny. Him.
I love it.
But like, how are you feeling about the rebrand? Like, you got any tips, any suggestions? Like you've obviously been doing this way longer than me.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's of to any real benefit other than just I get to say I've been at this a long time. I think that might be the only thing there. I'll get to tips maybe. Like, how I feel about it is phenomenal. Yeah. Like, I feel like, I think I maybe just barely alluded to this maybe on a Pants podcast a little while ago. Like, I feel like this is the final form. I feel like this is what I will be doing until I'm done doing content. And I feel that to my bones, in a way that I hadn't felt basically the entire time, wherever I was, it always felt like it was building towards something else. And I don't know how you describe or how you explain that sort of thing, but there was just like this thing inside that went, Yumi Capri was temporary. Even when it was with Bobby, it always felt like that we would eventually decide on something else. When I was with We the Nerdy, it always felt like we would do something else. So the journey has been kind of just evolving, and the rebrand number one, it's just that I love the name. I love that what it represents.
For sure.
But it also like solidifies the group at this point too. Like I've got a Kato, I've got a Court, and Ryan is still there. Like that is, I don't know how to describe that. Like especially as with Bobby passing and that whole thing. Like speaking of paths and parallel universes and stuff, there's a parallel universe where I don't do any of this stuff, and Bobby passes and I get destroyed somehow. But yeah, like instead we did another year of Yumi Capri, and this is oddly kind of full circle on it in terms of moving on, if that makes like, and that's not, I don't even like using the word like moving on. I will never be able to move on completely, but it is representative of paying respect, but also like continuing on and not doing what Bobby was doing or what me and Bobby were doing. So how I feel about it is awesome. It's creatively, it feels like this is what we should be doing. Emotionally, it feels very like celebratory of the past and my friendships and everything that has happened along the way. It is rewarding and fulfilling because it seems to be resonating with people as well. So there's a lot of thought and discussions that go into it. And then you go, well, we've made our decision. Here we go. And not that I really expect anybody to like burn it down or people to not love it, but there's always a risk. Like people come to you with whatever you have, and sometimes change is risky. I think that's a fair thing to say, that for the most part people don't love change. But this is something that our community has been kind of adaptable to, and I'm thinking it's going to be the same thing for you guys, because maybe this is where the tips kind of come in. People are really there when you get out of your own being too critical on yourself. You come to realize that people are just there for you, and they want to see you succeed, and they get excited when you grow. So I think that whatever you guys got coming up, like you're going to experience that and just run with it, like lean into it as best you can, is maybe the best advice I can give you on that front.
That's actually helpful, because like we have our meetings behind the scene and like trying to plan, and like you have there's a lot of work that goes into like something like that. Like you got to get like logos and all this other stuff going on. And it's just one of those things where like I'm glad we're bringing in people that like I'm confident in, because we've had a few people like leave the show for personal reasons, which is fine. Like we're still friends, and like there's no hard feelings or anything like that. And like it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, we're getting the people like I think will be here for the long haul. Like that'll shape what I'm hoping will be built here. But then also like every time I try to like make a decision, I second guess it. I'm sitting there, I'm like, is there something better out there though? Like I know, yeah, we all love this, but like, could it be better? Like, and at what point do I just like, what point do I just like, okay, I have to like, everyone else is saying, no, this is it. Like, this is great. But I'm over here like, but what about if we just try a little more? Like,
can I give feedback on that part in particular?
Yeah, go for it.
Because we and I are I think are built very similarly on this front, especially as people who are obviously kind of like spearheading the creative kind of team effort and things like that. It has to start from somewhere. But you do have to make a decision and kind of like live with it. And that can be daunting to think, well, this has got to be forever. You can take away the forever part is my advice that I would give. And the way that we've been pretty clear about some of this stuff is every April 15th, we're going to do something. And you can give yourself either a year. You can say, well, let's just try this for a year, or you can introduce something even as a pilot too. And that's where we've really let a lot of the community in on certain things. Where it's like the Nintendo Drive and the PlayStation Drive started out as a pilot, and if people liked it, and I can't remember what our like threshold was for now, it's going to be a real thing, but Yeah, like there's certain things that you can test out and bring your community in, and I think they'll appreciate that, like transparency and helping you build towards permanence. I don't know exactly what that is. Like, you might be talking about a logo that's a little bit trickier to do as a logo, but even then you can do a logo refresh or rebrand or whatever in a year. Like, don't be daunted by the permanence of forever and infinity around it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not just like obviously logos are one thing, but like it's all just like, you know, content and everything. I think I need to put trust in my team more than like feeling like if it fails, it's all on my shoulders. Like that's kind of how I feel sometimes. Like if it fails, it's all on me.
Yeah,
even
I
though
feel
like
that.
we're a group.
Yep, that totally resonates big time, because everybody has a role to play. You know, everybody has and depending on how your conversations are going, it can weigh on you a lot, really. So I don't know. I guess it depends. Like, the other advice, and maybe this grounds it a little bit, is just like the why are you doing it? And there's a variety of very credible and valid reasons to do certain things. Thank you. Did you literally just become a freaking $3 patron? Like while we're
wow,
I'm like, we're,
wow, man,
like, you're distracted with something here.
I was gonna let you finish your statement and then say, Sean, one last thing, check your email.
It just popped up here because I've got my phone is set to, I've got to be watching Ellie in her room here. So it
ruined. I had the whole, setup, man. I had the whole.
Do you want me
setup.
to cut this out? And
No.
Okay, well, I'll cut this out, and I'm not editing a damn thing.
Yeah.
Let's play this out. People can forget. Yeah. Strike the record the last 30 seconds.
Yeah, you were giving me advice about trusting my team and everything.
Yeah. Well, again, nothing has to be permanent. The why. Why are you? Yeah. Why are you doing it? Like, for me, and I almost sound like I don't know what I sound like. Maybe inauthentic, but it's the exact opposite of what I'm trying to do. For me, everything centers around community and friendship, and almost in a response to trauma, because Bobby is gone and he's not coming back. And some of my most celebrated times with a friend is from creating content. And I realized how central to like my identity all this stuff is, and the best thing that I can do moving forward is to make that the core of the content. Everything else is bonus. Patreon is a bonus, the whatever, like everything else is totally extra. And the funny thing is, when I center around community, everything else actually succeeds. So it's like, it's kind of reverse of whatever, like, it's like starting with happiness and then success will happen afterwards. People think, and I talked to N64 Josh about this a little while ago, they have it in reverse. They'll think, I've got to be successful first and then I will be happy. It is possible to do it in the reverse way. So that's some comments that I would throw your way.
That's super helpful, actually. Even if you don't think it is, but I genuinely think that
it's almost like a mission statement.
Advice,
honestly.
Yeah. Like, what are we doing? And I think we've talked about that, and like, I know why I make content. It's like I enjoy it, but also like I wanna engage with other people. I want to like have these conversations. I like, part of the reason I love doing this, and like the last year and a half, I think has been awesome. Even if like we haven't blown up, like we're doing better than I ever expected, but like just the fact of like getting to meet everyone and like be on shows and talk to people and then like become friends with them. It's like it's more than I ever thought would happen. So like,
the fact that you are acknowledging that and have gratitude that naturally comes from that means that you have a why that is deeper than number of views, number of likes, dollars in the door, whatever it happens to be. Like, I think it's you are a very self-reflective person, as am I. Like, lean on those kind of, like, start to acknowledge what's giving you, what's pumping your tires, and when does it happen. That starts to center around, and it gives you some pillars of how you move forward and how you make your decisions. And is something like freaking you out on whether or not you're going to make a decision that's permanent about it, like, it all kind of comes back to your why, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
That's as preachy as I'll get. So
No, that was great. I'm glad we got to chat about that. And Sean, one last thing,
Yeah.
check your email.
Oh damn. Okay, like right now, is it rude for me to like look at my
no,
phone?
No. Just look. I was distracted a few minutes ago.
Oh my gosh, a new $3 patron, meet the Muffin Mon with a 1 instead of an I and an O instead of the A. Oh my dude, thank you. Wow. Now you have access to exclusive content like the weekly AMA, the Patreon Pants Patreon podcast for patrons podcast. You get the console wars every single month. I'm like turning your patron into a damn ad for my Patreon.
That's right. I just want to hear you show Joe up every month. That's really what it is.
Yeah, I get to hang out at Sweet Hangs with Donnie every single month. We're gonna do the Geek Outs pretty soon here, dude. Like there's actually quite a ton at that $3 level. So thanks very much. And
how close are we to that show now?
The dude, pilot? We are actually close. Holy crap. We are. Oh, when I load up the app, it gives me in Canadian dollars. So I have no idea. We're getting there, man.
It says.
Oh,
I think
my gosh.
15? Is it 700?
It's 700. We're $15 away.
15. All right. We need 5 of you to subscribe at the $3 tier, or, one of you to subscribe at a higher tier. It doesn't really matter,
I guess. But I feel like that we were there before. We must have lost somebody as we get totally. Oh, we did lose somebody. You just literally same day you offset somebody who swapped out. So you've got us back level. So I appreciate you, man. That's just the way it goes. That's just the way it goes.
That's what I'm here for. Looking forward to all the exclusive content and the backlog I get to listen to now. I can't wait.
There's a lot. Yeah, you're right. And you can, man, I never talk about this. People can go back to the beginning of time. Once you become a $3 patron, you can go back forever. And there are episodes of You, Me, and Capri with Bobby. And so you can hear us talking about all sorts of things, including our health, which I think is very, it's something to look back on. We would actually talk about our own mortality sometimes, which was, given what happened. So I encourage you, if you don't know Bobby, if you don't know who the hell I'm talking about, like there's some pretty awesome conversations in the backlog there, my friend.
Yeah, I love the only other Patreon I subscribe to. I went back and listened to all their years worth of content that interests me. So that's what I do at work. I listen to podcasts while I work, and now I get to I'm gonna have Sean Capri's voice burned into my brain
all the time. Yeah, I'm in this chair far too often.
I was listening to the previous We the GamerCast, but like when I was waiting for the Nintendo Drive to go live, and you were speaking. So when you actually went live, I almost did, like, because you were already in my ear, and then I was like, "Wait,
that's too many."
He's like, "You make there's like 2 Seans,
too
now.
many
What's
Seans." Yeah, that's enough for anybody to just lose their mind. Kevin, I've had an awesome time. It's late for you, man. It's getting there. I've had an awesome time chatting with you. We did all the things. Do you want to let everybody know, you've alluded to your show? Where can you point people in the direction to find all your awesome content, my friend?
Yeah, thanks for having me on again, Sean. I love sitting down, just chatting with you.
Same here.
On my show, your show, wherever. But you can find me at the Muffin Mon on Twitter. It's a 1-7-I and 0-7-A. You can find my podcast, Project xTalk, an Xbox podcast. That's on YouTube at Project xTalk. We are nearing 400 subscribers. I think we're 15 away. So if you want to go over and drop us a sub, if you do it before next Thursday, the 19th, you can win a copy of Trek to Yomi that I'm giving away.
Nice.
So, you can do that. You can also find us on all audio platforms, Project xTalk and Xbox podcast. Would love ratings, reviews. I think we just hit 25 reviews on Apple. So, you can win a Trek to Yomi if you review us too, if you'd rather do an audio. So I'm trying to give you free games, trying to build a community, and we have lots of fun on the podcast. Sean was on last week. He knows we interact with the chat during our live show, and we got some exciting stuff coming, I think, in the future. So come hang out with us.
Nice, man. Well, congratulations on everything so far. I know you guys are going to crush it with everything that's coming up. And yeah, be sure. I know my inside source will keep me in the loop as well. But yeah, anytime you guys need anything, you guys just let me know, man.
Absolutely.
I'm sitting here racking my brain because I told you guys I was going to apologize about something at the end of the show, and then I forgot what the heck it was. What the heck was it going to be? This is why, like, I have so much paper around here, you guys. You don't even know. Like, I've got notebooks, I've got iPads with pens and everything. Like, I got to write something down before it just, like, it's gone forever. Does this happen to anybody else? Is this just me? My brain sometimes, you guys. How do I get anything done? This is why I was talking to Court Lalonde about something. We're planning some things out, and I've realized something about myself, that when an idea kind of like locks in my head, I'm like on it, dude. Like, I better get that like taken care of. I think for two reasons. Number one, I'll just forget and then it's lost forever. But also number two, like, why not? Just like, then you can move on to the next thing. There's too much stuff to do. I don't like to hang on things for too long. If you like the show, by the way, you can support us at patreon.com/carpoolgaming. I would love it if you went over to the YouTube channel and let us know what you thought of the show. We haven't had a Apple Podcast review in kind of forever. Actually, you know who was the last person to do it, at least in the US, was our guest today, Kevin Ainsworth. So thank you, Mr. Muffin Man. Do you know the Muffin Man? Is it a Shrek reference? Not my buttons. You guys know that one? Anybody, TPR, do you know that one? You know Shrek? Oh my goodness, I'm feeling like an old man. These youths around here. It's so awesome. Speaking of youths, not really. The clip here at the end of the show, you guys know how we end it. Every episode of We the GamerCast ends with a clip of my good friend Bobby Pauls, the Nintendo guru. And this clip comes from an episode of If We Ran Nintendo, really right from the start. So we're going to get into some weird stuff. We're going to talk about Canada and US relations. This was me right before I went to E3 in 2019, so I was getting a little bit excited about that. But I wanted to select this clip, and there's many others like it, because I mentioned at the start of the show, Ryan Turford and I were going to be doing the Geek Outs, which is our new Patreon exclusive show available to everybody at $3 and up, along with everything else. We're going to do our Scott Pilgrim spoiler cast, I guess, is what we'll talk about it. But it's called Geek Outs in celebration of Bobby. He was the master of the Geek Outs, and every time we started a show of If We Ran Nintendo, we did our shout outs, and I desperately wanted to do Geek Outs, so I shouted out Geek Outs anyways. You're going to hear about that and a bunch of other weird stuff on this episode of If We Ran Nintendo. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you all next week. Okay, bye-bye. Bye.
If We Ran Nintendo.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 154 of If We Ran Nintendo. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, joined by the greatest co-host in all the land, Mr. Sean Capra.
Bobby, it's the Friday, 'twas the night before E3, before Sean flies on a jet plane, and he goes to Los Angeles. I'm coming into your country. I'm climbing up over the wall tomorrow, Bobby, so
That's amazing.
You just better be ready for the Capri penetration.
Oh God!
into the America. I heard how your president talks.
He doesn't have any problem. Well, he's only got a problem with your prime minister, but I don't think he minds Canada.
I think he admires him though. I think he thinks he's got a nice style to him at least. Yeah. He may not agree with his policies, but whatever, man. Who does?
He probably likes the fact that he's single.
That's true. No, he's not single. What do you mean he's not?
Oh, he's not married, is he?
Yeah, he's a family man. He's got a beautiful family. Of course he is.
He wasn't. Why did I think he wasn't married?
Because he's a model, or he was a model before.
Yeah, possibly. I could care less about Canada. Who cares?
Yeah.
Well, you're the only thing I care about in Canada.
I'm wearing a whole bunch of. I got a Giants football sweater on. And I've got a San Francisco Giants hat on. Bobby, what do you think about that?
You don't match. And might I add, there's a lot of Canadians I like too, like Mark Carabin, Joel Brooks,
he's pretty good.
Tony Baker.
Rival.
I need to specify that because I don't want it to be like I'm racist.
Did you hear when I forgot about all the Canadians from the patron? I was like, Mark Carabin knows what I'm talking about here. I'm like, is there any other Canadians? And then like after I finished recording, I was like, freaking Joel Brooks, freaking Rybo, like all these people. Like there's so many. Yeah, there's so many.
Lord.
Yeah,
Lord.
I'm a dumb. I apologize though, on the Discord and on the post. Yeah, you don't care.
I don't care. Sean, let's kick this episode off like we do each and every episode with our
Geek Outs.
shout-outs.
Geek Outs, Bobby. I got new shoes for E3. I got blue shoes. You want to see? Look, I haven't even got the tags off yet. They're cool little blue shoes. I have to get like LA wear. It's gonna be hot, Bobby. It's gonna be like 28 degrees Celsius.
You shouldn't buy new shoes for all the walking you're gonna do.
They're nice shoes though. They're comfy.